Bring my water. Okay.
Oh no! I mean, did you want me to vamp? You can go grab your water. Like,
Can you
I'll be. Yeah, I can handle this. I'll be okay. Okay,
okay.
kids. This week we're gonna start off the
We'll be right back.
conversation.
Yeah.
Holy Roman Empire was not holy. Wasn't Roman. Was not an empire.
I don't know if I'm
Discuss.
gonna come back at this point, but yeah, but carry
TK's
on,
out
sir.
of
Yeah.
here. Well, welcome everybody to another episode of the Best of Our Week. This podcast is where TK Bay and Juan Carlos Bagnell sit down as two nerdy friends who happen to live in the same time zone. We just catch up, like literally just try to chat out what we've been doing this week, what the best technology stories and reviews and experiences of our week have been. And man, boy howdy, I'm already seeing a tremendous list of names in here. Slow-Mo Joe, Holla at Your Boy, Vince Navoa, David Burns, Barry Johnson, Mr. Engineer Reacts, Ashlan, Michael Corcoran, Farhan, Jason C., Ron Guido. I mean, this is like romper room extraordinaire. And TK, welcome back
How did the
to the
Romans
Best
do
of
it?
our week.
No, okay.
Again, no, I mean, I'm serious. It got to like 90 degrees out here again in the
Yep.
mid 90s, and I think staying hydrated, that's definitely an important thing. We want to be advocates for good health even whilst podcasting.
I'll say this much. The matter of this week or week or so since we last spoke, I have spoken so much. I've done too
Yep.
much talking,
I've
and
blown my voice out twice. That's
yeah,
bad.
and you're not even at CES, so you know how bad it is. I was like, I've been just doing normal talking. No, I've been researching some stuff and talking to a lot of things for around the house and so on. So for me, it's been consistently talking for different contractors and stuff like that. So it's been a lot of conversations, which honestly, this is so bad on my end. I totally forgot about the Team Pixel meetup this afternoon. I
Oh
saw the email 2 days ago,
no.
but I don't know why in the past I remember they used to send
We
out.
got we
They
got
used
to
to.
assault actual Google engineers about fingerprint issues on the Pixel 6a. It
Oh
was
my
great.
God, I want to hear. I want to hear more. Well, it's good because then we'll have good conversation. Then no, I
Yeah.
totally missed it, and I just saw posting pictures where Mark and some of the other guys from Team Pixel were posting pictures from the event, and I saw you, and I wanted to almost comment and say, hey, technically I was in the show. Have you seen Juan's hat? I was there. I was with him. I was just
I was
right
repping you.
there.
I was repping, at least
Exactly.
repping your merch. I feel
I
terrible
appreciate it.
because like I was these meetups always happen right when we're getting ready to cook, right when we're getting ready to eat
It's
dinner,
the
and
timing
so
is convenient. It's more functional around 8 p.m. for East Coast side, but for the West Coast, yeah, I'm in the middle of the
I mean,
swimming with my son. I'm coming back. I'm on
yeah,
call. It's like I
it's
totally get
it's good. I mean, it's good that it's not too late, and I understand why they time it that way. But I would have thrown you a text if I could have seen who was actually in the room because I was just streaming it from my phone.
yeah.
So Google Meet on my phone is, it looks like just like a little chat window with like a little pop out for how they're doing their slides and stuff, and I
Oh,
can't
totally.
see who's in there. And I was also, mixing up beans and rice. So I wasn't really paying that close of attention, or I would have shot you a message like, "Yo, TK, why don't you pop in here?" So I feel bad. I should have been looking out for my buddy, and I feel like I dropped the ball on that one. So my
I, like I
apologies.
said, thank you for representing and making sure the Team TK Bay was
Right.
there in
T-
spirit.
TK Bay's merch was on point for
Uh,
the Team Pixel meeting.
oh my God, Slow Mo Joe saying it's 17C here, man. That is nice. Enjoy it, man.
Oh
Enjoy it. Nice
man,
and cool. But no, yeah,
that's real
we've been
nice.
rocking. And there's no end in sight. I haven't seen a single forecast that says we're dropping to 80s or anything. So it's going to be
No,
90s for
actually,
now for the next week or so.
but not only 90s. I mean, for our neck of the woods, I think we're in for another like 5 degree bump,
Oh.
uh, getting into the first week of August. So
Well,
it should be fun.
I'll be thinking of how nice California is, but um I am, yeah, I don't know. I guess I haven't really mentioned it anywhere other than just speaking to
Yeah,
you, but I will be I will be at the event in New York next week for the launch of the OnePlus
nice.
10T. I keep wanting to call it the OnePlus 10 because when we never had the 10, we just went straight to T, T
Right?
for TK. But no, uh, would it be funny if I show up to OnePlus and say, "Hey, I'd like to add the K to the OnePlus 10T"? Why?
Here,
Because it's my.
I'm gonna turn my mic side down a little. Does that still sound okay for
You
you?
sound
Because
pretty
I think I
decent.
was coming in a little hot.
Was it clipping on your side?
Well, I mean, I think the last time we did one, for whatever reason, my mic was substantially louder than yours. So I'm just gonna drop me, and I think you were actually mixed okay. I think I was coming in. Again, this is a StreamYard thing. I can't hear what we sound like together, so we'll have
We'll
to
be
see
getting that in next
how
year's
that
version.
plays.
StreamYard keeps adding features, but I still, I want more functionality on mobile Chrome. I want better custom options and so on. But I mean, overall, it does
Mhm.
the job as best as we can. It's just mobile. It just tanks.
N-
On
Did did
PC,
you did
perfectly
you
fine.
Did you happen to see it? Because we were making fun of Google a couple weeks back, how Google Duo and Google Meet are going to get like stapled together in
Mhm.
another horrendous branding exercise, confusing consumers when they could just stick with one name. Like you could change every bit of code underneath, but if you just stuck to the name, like we could still be using Hangouts, but Hangouts could be this new code.
Should
It
be
would
good.
be
Yeah,
fine.
exactly. Yeah.
You know, I think it's funny is now they're reintroducing this amazing new feature, TK. I'm
Oh,
going to blow your mind.
go ahead,
In
please.
Google Meet, you
Uh-huh.
can have all these participants, right?
Yeah.
Right? You can have multiple people on cameras chatting
Yeah,
to each other.
Skype and
Now
everything. Yeah.
you can broadcast that directly to YouTube. Isn't that incredible? It's only taking us like 5 years to come full circle to replicating the core
Replacing Google,
functionality that we
basically
used
Google.
to have with Hangouts on
Hangouts
Air.
on the air. Remember, that's how we used to do the live, right? We used to have to set up the
Yes,
Hangouts on
it
air.
was
It
amazing.
was an amazing feature, and then they took it away when they
Google,
made Hangouts.
I want to be a fan. I mean, I absolutely adore what Google's doing in their hardware division.
It's a compartmentalized ecosystem that I think a lot of people don't realize. They don't. It's not one team that
Yeah,
runs the whole.
this is like
Right?
the worst game of corporate telephone I've ever seen playing out over a decade of software features, replicating the same functionality over and over
I
and over again.
I will say. I will say today I had a little bit of flashback. So you remember Google Music, right? That service that we had
Yeah.
for a longest time. So Google Music icon has been taken away. We don't see it anymore in our system. We have, Play Music now, the YouTube Music application. But on my watch or on our Tick watches, if you ever play music through the Play Music app, the icon, if there's no profile or no folder or no album picture, is still the Google Play Music icon on the
Oh, I
watch.
hadn't noticed that.
I
I'm gonna
had
have
a
to
bit
play
of
with
a
that.
flashback. I was like,
Oh, a little
"Ah,
nostalgia.
yeah, a
Hmm.
little bit of code, a little bit there. When I was in
Yeah,
San Francisco,
Jason
a
C.
couple.
By 2025, we're just going to be calling it Hangouts again.
Well,
You know what we should all do? Like just how
yeah,
I'm such a snarky git where I still call the S22 Ultra a Note
the Note
22.
22 alt,
We
yeah.
should all just refer to every single individual discrete
Big
messaging
pictures
platform from
after all,
Google as Hangouts.
as Hangouts from now on. It's like,
Hey,
I'm
just get me on
switching them. Yeah,
Hangouts.
don't worry
It's
about it. We'll do.
fine.
We're cool. I mean,
Do
you
you
can't
want to
even uninstall.
broadcast this? We could do Hangouts on air, and we could all chat together. If you want to just do that.
I totally would meet you on Hangouts on air, man, because that's the OG way, like back in the old days of Hotmail and all the good stuff.
Yeah. Dave
But
Burns. Google should teach a master class in consumer confusion. Because again, I'm a big fan of a number of the divisions within Google. I kind of feel a how not to be a massive $1 trillion company on the internet class. I feel like Google is most qualified to teach that class.
and yeah, no, and in all jokingly manner, of course, I would say realistically is the reality is it is compartmentalized. There is a lot of different teams that are working to try to strive to give services. But the hope is that you
Yeah.
think that if a new team is coming over for a service that's going to be taking over an older or an existing service, is that it would at least bring in the feature set, like at least transfer that in as your basis. Like that should be your
Right.
jump off point, right? Um, and like you said, I think it's a great feature to have it. I think it's an amazing thing, and I hope that it does. It's let's just say this. I'm hoping it's simpler than Hangouts on Air. I will say that
Yeah.
the setup of a live stream on Hangouts on Air required a little bit of training and knowing exactly
I
how to
mean,
do it.
we're literally doing this in StreamYard because
Yep.
Hangouts on Air never really evolved to
It was
be the
it was
service.
exactly this. Yeah, that was the reason why I started on
Yeah.
when you turned me on to it. But I will say this: welcome to everybody, and I hope everybody's doing well. I do apologize for having to run out. I have had I mean, my week. Yeah, actually, let's just start this. Let's start off with the best of our week because we haven't done
For
it for the
sure.
last couple of times. I'll kick it off to you because I feel like maybe you'll have a nice positive because I don't want to be the gloomy guy today. It's going to be a different
Mhm.
TK. But what is your best of your week, Juan? What has been the best part of your week?
Oh, I mean, it's hands down. It's been bouncing back and forth between two substantially different tiers of smartphone in playing with the Pixel 6a, and
Or the
immediately
Magic
like
6A? Yeah, I like to call that.
juxtaposing that with the
Oh my
Xiaomi 12s
god.
Ultra. This has been so illuminating, and it really has been reinforcing. I mean, I soapbox about this a lot. I'm sure I'm going to have very similar things to say about different kinds of phones throughout the course of the stream. But man, I'm sitting in front of a desk full of phones, and they each have something unique
Yeah.
and something specific to offer
Mhm.
consumers. And it's driving me crazy how we're trying to boil down every single conversation about the smartphone into a reductively simple consumers must be submoronic idiots kind of conversation.
Mhm.
And again, like I'm playing with a $1,300 phone against a $450 phone, and it should be exciting when the $450 phone wins a few fights. This
Mhm.
is not indomitable at $1,300, and the Pixel 6a, I'm sure we should expect some polish and improvements over time because
Oh,
again, no
absolutely.
phone launches without some sticky bits.
Actually, the phone
But
just
for
launched, just for reference. Today is the
yeah,
day. Happy Pixel 6 Day.
again, so this is also the other thing that's going to be frustrating, and I refuse to let this entire podcast descend into Juan's cranky rants about search and YouTube algorithms. But the Pixel 6a is already peaking on Google Trends.
Mhm.
And if you look up Google Trends, I mean, I think it's something like 3 or 4 to 1 the organic searches for iPhone SE versus Pixel 6a. So the peak window of search viability and consumer interest in this phone is happening a week before consumers can really get their hands on the
Who's
phone.
this guy?
Mark. I'm so glad Mark said that Xiaomi reminds him of the Lumia 1020 because like yeah,
Lumia 1020. Insert Lumia 1020
I
conversation.
have it on my desk right now. Again, it's like when we look at what it takes to make a good camera phone, you need a giant Oreo disc on the back of your phone. But no, what I think is really galling and I think is really frustrating is our availability for other brands in consumer interest and ratcheting search
Mhm.
is a very brief window. And Google's timing for consumers, I think, is spot on
Yep.
because I'm wrapping up my script on the Surface Laptop Go 2. We've got
Oh
the
man, I
Pixel
wanted to put that
6a.
out today. I had everything scripted ready to, but I got sorry. Yeah,
But
we're
it's
on
the
the
right
same level.
time. Like
Yep.
this is the kind of gear. Like there's a $450 phone here where if you have the means to provide that for a child, man, this is a monster option. And you've got some great lifestyle calling and communication features for a kid, for an
Yep.
older family member. Again, it gets Google on this unified platform. There are so many good ideas here. It is sad to me that our window of interest, as dictated by Google, I mean, again, I'm looking this up on a Google service, is so narrow. So
Yeah.
one crankiness adjacent,
Mhm.
the actual use of these products has been just amazing, like
Oh,
so
absolutely.
fulfilling.
Yeah.
I'm
No. No.
bouncing back and forth between a ZTE, a Vivo, a Xiaomi, a Pixel, a couple gaming phones against my Steam Deck, a lower cost student grade laptop, and like all of this gear is absolutely nailing the claims that these manufacturers are making. So this year has been really this week. This week has felt like a year. Has been
Welcome back to the best
really
of our year. Sorry. Go ahead.
right. We're gonna have to do the wrap up at the end of 2022. But this whole week has been very satisfying for kind of confirming my feelings that,
Mhm.
man, when you give a gadget a chance and you actually try to dig into who it should be for,
Yep.
these things are actually performing in a way that is very satisfying.
Well, I want to be able to say that my week will probably be close to that. I'll say this. best part of the week honestly has been playing with the 6A. The 6A for me has been the one I've been, basically just spending a lot of time with since we've had it last Friday. So last Thursday when we spoke, when we had, our friend over, we didn't get a chance to basically know that the phone was going to be there. So we came in the day after. We had another like so
Right.
live stream together, unboxing it, and then as of tomorrow, we'll be there about 24, about 7 days, and it's been an absolute pleasure using a what is considered to be a budget-friendly smartphone, but yet boosting and basically showing us what Tensor can do on a
Yeah.
6A. Running with camera processing. I took it with me to I told you we're going to go to Magic Mountain. Took it with me there.
Hmm.
Went down. Taking pictures with it. I
Tell
know
me it's not great. I
no. This is
mean,
the thing.
I know, like, oh, the camera sensor is so outclassed, and you're like, man, you gotta be dumb to say
If you
something like that.
it,
If you can't demonstrate where a larger camera sensor has an advantage, then you are woefully unequipped to tell me why the 6A might be inadequate for point and shoot photography. This thing has been solid because, again,
absolutely,
you
yeah.
took it out into a more challenging conditions. I just did some of my normal night shots on
Mhm.
it, but
Yeah,
I did have a concern because all of Google's previous outings with this camera sensor have been on Qualcomm hardware using Qualcomm's ISP. It is
Yep.
not a small transition
Mhm.
to move all of your algorithms and software over to completely different hardware. And I'm shocked that this is as seamless as it is. Again, that's something that you would hope would come true. Google has the resources to make it happen, but when you really see it in practice, that deserves a lot of credit. This is one to one. The experience is the Google Pixel camera experience we've always known on
That is
Snapdragon
everything.
SoCs
Exactly.
on a Tensor with this different camera sensor that we didn't start
It's
using with
it's
Tensor.
it's it's almost like saying they learned from everything the 6 and the 6 Pro is doing. And again, getting
Yes.
that experience on a budget. No, but
I mean, again,
this is the big factor I think a lot of people are missing is
for
you are
sure.
getting on an Android ecosystem, on an Android device, a system on a budget phone that runs the same SoC that's on a flagship. So
Hmm.
there's a big difference. The way the image is processed after you take a picture are much faster. That snappy response, you're getting the horsepower that you want to get out of that system running it, and the smoothness, the transitions, even the fingerprint sensor, which I know there's been talks about. For me, it runs perfectly fine on both my right and left finger thumb. I mean, I don't know. Some people, I will say where we are right now, a lot of us are still using
Hmm.
pre-release software. We're not on the latest version of the,
Yeah.
let's say, was it July or maybe even August in a couple of days or so. But at the end of the day, where we're getting here is, as you said, the benefit of all those months and that the Pixel 6 and 6 Pro had to kind of go through their growing pains and their release with
Yeah.
Android 12. We're
So
benefiting it.
my
It's there. It's like,
my experience is like one to one.
mhm.
And like again, we're talking optical fingerprint sensors.
Oh yeah.
Even with the polish and the improvements that I've seen. I mean,
Hmm.
the Pixel 6 Pro has kept my SIM card the longest out of any phone that I've used
Mine is
this
still
year.
sitting in it. My
Yeah.
work, my daily work phone is a
Again,
Pixel 6
because I'm
Pro.
in
Yeah.
between on a bunch of import phones, my SIM card is back in the Pixel 6 Pro. And I've got this sort of almost permanently now paired to my Tick watch. Like I've got a couple other watches that I cycle and I'll bounce back and forth, but my main watch has not been unpaired from my Pixel 6 Pro since February.
I dig it. Yeah, yeah.
So when we're looking at some of those features and what you're saying, like I think it's okay to say when we're buying in at the bleeding edge,
Yeah.
I think our expectations need to be a little bit more directed towards at launch. If you buy pre-order, you're one of the first out the gate.
Yeah.
Increasingly expect to be a beta tester.
Yeah. Or, I mean,
That's
it's
generally
understandable. Yeah.
true. But it's generally true with almost all manufacturers now. When you are the tip of the spear, and again, it sucks because those are also the consumers who are spending the most money, but you're also getting the most bleeding edge tech, the newest hardware, the
Mhm.
newest software. Everything's getting lumped into one release.
Yeah.
I think if you want the stability, you should be looking at buying premium tier about 3 months into the life of that phone. The Pixel 6A, out of the box with an out of date security patch, has performed better, and the fingerprint sensor has been more responsive for me than on my Pixel 6 Pro after almost a year of updates. And that to me is like what you were saying. It's like they learned from all of this previous data, but then they also knew, like, hey man, this is the mainstream phone. We can't experiment. We can't push boundaries. We've got to focus in on a core user experience.
Yep.
And deliver that much smoother.
Well, I was going to say deliver on that experience, but over deliver on the horsepower, because this is basically what the 6A is. It's the 5A updated for 2022 with basically their main SoC, which is literally still gets better every time you use it. So that's been one of my biggest things going on with it. And I had hoped to drop the Surface Book Go 2 video this morning. I just got sideswiped. It's been like a very, very busy week for me. But tomorrow, though, I will be dropping a video, hopefully for the 6A, and I'll put the Surface laptop hopefully over the weekend, just to kind of make sure to kind of round it up.
Yeah.
But the last thing I will say that I've been having a little bit of fun for the piece of tech that I got from you before on my vacation, and I finally got a chance after we worked out the whole little issue with the app, you and I, to drop the video for the Okai scooter, which has been so much fun.
Isn't it a good scooter?
Dude, even even when it was like 100 something, right? I'm riding that little sucker with a hat, and the air just schools down. I was just so cool. I was like chilling and like, I like, seriously, it's a lot of fun. It's a nice little scooter, and I mean, it's not little, but it's a nice little scooter itself, not that heavy. And I even the company reached out to me and like, hey, thank you for putting out the video, stuff like that. I was like, I appreciate it, thank you. I'd let them know we were worked out a deal, so because like so that's been really the best. But I've had a lot of things going on work wise, so it's been a little bit of a mixed bag. I'm hoping next week will be better, but yeah. So I figured it's a good way for us to start this week, and kind of start talking about the Pixel 6A, since there's been some conversations. You dropped a video about it, talking about the hardware and what we have in there, and I'm kind of also doing similar tomorrow. But there's been a lot of talk, surprising.
I'm glad our videos are kind of coming out the way that they are, because I feel you're probably going to be in a better headspace to really talk about the phone, whereas I've gone through like an entire week of rewriting the angriest script I've ever tackled, condemning the current state of YouTube reviews. And I think what I eventually arrived at was a reasonable balance of Juan's extreme crankiness against beginning a conversation that I think we're not doing very well. My entire video is only, what do we classify this phone as? Because it is not a one-to-one replacement from the Pixel 5A.
No.
This is a very different animal in performance, in thermal characteristics, in hardware, in features, in the accessories that we would need to pair with it. If you have a family member on a Pixel 4A, I do not believe it is a foregone conclusion that you will want to move them over to the Pixel 6A. And if we're not being careful,
I may get into the details there with you, because I think the 4A,
even 4A 5G and 5A, all of the Snapdragon powered A series phones have been a substantially different conversation about performance and power draw. And they've had things like headphone jacks as consumer-facing features. The Pixel 6A is not a traditional mid-ranger, the way that we've always talked about mid-rangers in North America. To the grave, I'm going to say Pixel 6A is a flagship killer in using such a high-performance
to say that it's
SoC.
A premium mid-ranger. I would almost say, I feel like the Pixel 6A is a premium mid-ranger. It's literally the upper echelon of
the reason why I'm making this distinction, and I'm saying legit just going directly to flagship killer, and I'm not playing with premium or tiers of mid-range, is because this is a phone that can hang with the 8 Gen 1 but lacks features like a headphone jack. That puts it in the same category as phones like Poco F series.
Yeah.
Those are flagship killer devices. They exist to compete against significantly more expensive phones with high performance hardware with a set of compromises we can all sort of live with. We do not get phones like that in North America. There
Typically,
are
yeah.
not many options to play in that tier. The only thing that we really do here in the United States is we wait for a phone to age out. So we'll go with a 1-year-old or a 2-year-old premium tier phone, and that's how we get a good deal on more high performance hardware. The
True.
Pixel 6a substantially redefines what performance at $450 should look like for the US. We've not seen something like this as direct here. If you played with Pocos and Vivos and iQOOs and Redmis and Xiaomis, of course you know what we're talking about. But if you
Yeah.
haven't experienced those brands, those cost-saving but high-performance chipset brands, this is new, and it should not be directly recommended. If someone was playing with the Pixel 5a and said, hey, you know what I really love about this phone is the epic battery life. Man, the 6a might not be the answer for that person.
Or at least not
And I think
in
it's
the current
important why
state.
we
I
need
think
to
it
get
needs a
that
few
right.
rounds. Yeah, and I think the 6A. I agree with you with the benefits and the flagship player conversation, purely because you're right. We don't have that type of experience. We know when we talk about all those brands you're referring to, yeah, they're in other markets, other countries. We don't see them here. And most of our mid-range to budget style experience has been basically creeped around the 7 series, which is not that it's a bad processing. I think the 7 series from Qualcomm is very capable.
It's
The
great.
the reason
Yeah.
the reason why when you mentioned the 4A, I wanted to poke a little bit more. I say the 4A 5G because that was the year when we still had the 4A 5G, where in the 5A we only had one model, and on the
Yeah.
3A the series back then that was just much older. I feel like the 4A 5G, the 5A, and the what we get right now, obviously with the Pixel 5, they're all Qualcomm 7 series, 765 processor series, right? We're looking at that upper mid range experience, or the best of the mid range experience that I see, as demonstrated by my beautiful hand model on the right. Senor Juan Carlos Bagnell, JC Bagnell, as he was on Team Pixel's meeting. Um, but so what you're getting there is a very good consistent experience. We've gone a few years of Google focusing on rounding and improving and getting that, and we see that now transition over to Tensor fully. They went with their own SoC with the 6 and 6 Pro, and I love the fact that we have now a solution, as you said, a flagship killer, upper premium. All of those titles are basically saying is you're getting truly a flagship experience at a budget price, and you need to
Yeah.
understand that that's what comes with the 6A this year. It may have the A series into it, and that's where the camera selection, certain choices were done in there, and of course the unusable 60 frames per second is in there. But other than
I know.
that,
Every time I even think about the phone, I throw up in my mouth.
oh my god,
Because thinking about the phone, my thoughts are in too low of a refresh rate,
I was
and it
about to
messes
say
with
you
my inner
probably,
ear.
yeah, your thought process is probably at 360, maybe 420,
Oh yeah, I'm like
60.
480 and 4K. Yeah, for sure.
Absolutely. 8K for me on some good nights when I'm sleeping. I close and no. All joking aside, the experience you get with this, and I'm going to say honestly, I still think the 6A need a couple of I think maybe the 6A will benefit from being up to date with the patch update, and I think we'll probably see that if not
Oh yeah.
by tomorrow, probably by Tuesday of next week when the August month patch update comes out. I think that's probably, and that's going to be roughly when people are getting their phones anyways. So overall, I think for
Yeah.
people that pre-ordered are probably getting shipped and they're going to start getting them now, you're not going to be disappointed. There is really um there is no other device on the market that could do the same at the same price. Let's just say that. The price point that you're looking at for what this is offering is just really where it is, and that's why I've been enjoying it. I can
I
tell
mean,
you right
I
now.
did a video render test between the Pixel 6a and the Xiaomi 12s Ultra, and I wonder which phone won.
Which one, Juan? No, I'm just kidding.
Which Juan won, Juan?
I was about to just get. Yeah, we could do this for hours, dude. No,
Right. So
yeah.
we did the Team Pixel meeting. We got some FaceTime with some of the
Yep.
Google engineers and some of the Google product specialists that are working on the Pixel. One of them
I always
specifically
love
has
those
been
meetings. Yeah.
she was like the spearhead for all of the A series Pixel phones. So we got like
Oh my god.
she
Yeah.
knows what she's talking about.
Oh my god.
Kind of
Okay,
conversation.
now I'm hating myself. Okay, sorry. Keep
Yeah,
going.
you missed out.
I
So they had a couple thoughts. One of the questions that I brought up was power management. One of the
Uh-huh.
things that I feel Pixels desperately need, because of the way that Tensor is organized, is
Yeah.
a different CPU scheduler. just like how we have on a number of Qualcomm powered phones. You've got your battery setting, and you have like a balanced performance mode and a
Yeah.
higher performance mode. And Google is trying to do this thing where it anticipates your use, and it tries to scale CPU activity based on your use. And genuinely, I'd like to be able to go in there and say, nah, just limit, use a different scheduler for the CPU, just rein that in. There are so many people I know who have been using like Pixel 3As. They're not gonna need this kind of tensor horsepower. They'll be way happier if they can push the give me more battery button as a distinct.
Sorry.
You know, like on our old PC cases, I've got my turbo button. So I brought that up in the context of the Pixel 5a, and she point blank said, like, yeah, Pixel 5a was a really interesting time for us. It was a very unique time for us. And I'm glad that people seem to appreciate what it was that phone could do. We'll be working on Tensor to try and emulate that kind of power savings, but that's not something that we're working on directly. Well, she didn't say it like that. She said that they were working to improve and evolve over time. But she did sort of indicate like, but she did seem to indicate like 5A was something really special for folks who valued battery life above a lot of this sort of performance metric that we put out there.
My son will attest to that with the amount of gaming he's been putting throughout his summer vacation break. Yeah. Part of me, while as I'm spending more time with the 6A, I feel like maybe he needs to stay on the 5A. I don't think he would benefit as much from what he's looking for, to a certain point.
Well, it depends. It depends on what games.
So he's playing. Well, so we're not talking our type of level games. We're talking obviously about Power Ranger games. We're talking about Dino games. Dinosaur. Yeah, nothing.
You know, it's like that old, really terrible episode of Top Gear where they did a fuel efficiency test between a BMW M3 and a Prius, but they did it on a track. So it's the BMW M3 like just driving around at like 90 miles an hour. That's nothing for a V8 in a BMW, but trying to keep that Prius running at 90 miles an hour, the Prius was like the least fuel efficient vehicle ever. And the BMW actually got better gas mileage because of how you were using it. I kind of feel like if you're maxing out the Snapdragon 765, you're going to do way worse than if you're kind of using the Tensor.
Well, no, the biggest thing for me, I think for him as a big benefit is the fact that it still has a headphone jack. I think so. We were talking about some of the differences between the two. Having him be the ability of jumping over to headphones and just plugging in a headset, it works great. Not to say that we couldn't buy an adapter to get it running on the L6A. And I think overall, I feel like since he's where he is right now with everything that he gets, I think he's still happy with what it performs, the camera performance, the battery life. He enjoys it and he can play for a long time. Probably I will say is with a few updates on the 6A, maybe we can get closer. Like hopefully we'll be able to get there. But I think at the end of the day, it's not for somebody that has the 5, like you said, the 5A, the 4A, the 4A 5G, or even the 5. I feel like they're still comfortable and the experience wouldn't be so massively different that they would be like, well, oh my God. I think you definitely feel it at a 3A series. You would definitely anything earlier than the 3 series because it is a leap forward at that point. It is a leap forward.
Although I've had family members go from 3A to 5A, and all they talk about was how much better the battery got. Again, knowing that 3A to 5A is a, I mean, it's a small, but it should be a noticeable jump in processor performance if you know what you're looking for.
It's from a 6 series Qualcomm to a 7 series too. So there's a substantial jump.
That doesn't matter to my family members at all. All they talk about is like, I'm using my phone the same way I was using my old phone, and this phone can run for like 2.5 days in between charges. And you're like, yeah, you were not maxing out the 3A. You're not touching the 5A. The 6A might not be a phone for you. Like, that might not be the jam. Like, that could be grotesque overkill for what your needs are at the expense of some battery life.
Absolutely. And I think it is need to be something that you have to tailor. But I feel like so the price point of the 6A is really begging to fit into the, like you said in your video, it's that communicator, right? It's a little bit bigger than the 5. overall, if you want a smaller form factor, every time I see it now, the 5 looks so much smaller than anything. Like in my mind, I feel like the 5 is not that small, but then I grab it and I'm holding it in
It's
my hand, and
teeny.
it's like it is a tiny little cute phone. I like the color too. I love the fact that for
Yeah.
me at least, obviously they kept
Because
the
you got
green.
Sage.
Yeah, I got Sage,
Yeah.
baby. We're all green here with the Sage, not envy. Um, so I enjoy those functionalities. I think is really at the end of the day, those are the best
Panda.
real exactly.
Panda,
And
panda, panda.
well, I thought you had a Panda. Don't you have the Panda? Or is that
Yeah,
I'm
I
the one
do.
weird looking?
I've got Chalk for my 6A, and I've got
No, this Panda.
Panda.
No, I know you got Panda. I got orange because
I wish we had the orange accent button for the power button
I
on the
miss.
Chalk. We
I
just bring
forget
that
which
back.
company.
I
There's a
loved it.
company
It was
that
so
does
silly.
cases that does that. There's a case company. I want to say
Rhino
Rhino
Shield.
Shield. Yeah, Rhino Shield. They
They
sell
pop out the
in the
buttons.
case. They come up with an accent color. I
I
love
love
that on
it.
those cases. Yeah. Jinx, by the way. I said Rhino Shield first. But how things are. So that's been. So this is the thing that I look at. Is it perfect right now? I think there's some things that still need to be a little bit polished. Now, I'll cover that a little bit more tomorrow. I know you and I have been talking about it a little bit over there in a day or
Mhm.
so. This why one of the reasons why I threw out the word magic is just a little bit of a background humor thing going on. But the experience that we're getting right now, I think is honestly, even with the concerns that I have, I would still recommend this to somebody looking for a budget-friendly performer that will meet all your expectation as a communicator, as a conduit to Google services, as even just as a personal assistant, even not necessarily just Google services, but I'm talking about dictation, on-device processing, on-device rendering, and just like for me when I jump from the 5A to the 6A, I see how much faster the snappiness, the system is a little bit more responsive, faster. I'm not having to wait too
For
long
sure.
for that, for the processing after you take an image. As you know, Google is known for their processing because this is where their bread and butter and their camera system is set. So it's exciting. I'm happy for this. I'm happy for this device to exist. I'm happy that it's finally available for people to try. So my hope tomorrow is to kind of culminate the exciting parts, the things that I've seen, the things that I think that we still need to work on, and of course, I'm hoping maybe by tomorrow morning we'll get the update, and at least I can start looking at maybe see if that changes anything as to my point of view. But obviously, it's not going to be the last video. It's just the beginning. I feel like a Pixel 6a video or Pixel phone, it's a phone that you need to kind of cover it over time.
Yeah.
As we not only do we get better, but we continuously get better. How is this obviously going to? How is the hardware going to run on the sixth, the 6A and the 6 Pro when 13 comes out officially, right? So those are things that we also want to kind of see because we're getting close to that 13 release. I think from what I remember, the last beta was officially released a couple of days ago, so
Yeah.
we're not that far. So yeah, we're pretty much
And it's
like
been
not
running really smooth again on my
from
Pixel 5.
from the yeah ever
Yeah.
since 11 ever since I want to say 12 up betas and pre-releases of Android with Google have been pretty good performers, so I'm happy
Yeah.
about that part. But yeah, so yeah, I mean, I can rant from now till tomorrow, but it's not a rant. It's really more of an appreciation of what the 6A
Well,
does.
the other thing that I'll throw out there, because we did, like I said, we got very aggressive with the Google product specialists about fingerprint sensors. They acknowledged that they are looking into these issues that people have been reporting.
Yeah.
The person that I feel like I trust his assessment the most is
Mhm.
Lenny over at Purposely Pixel,
Oh yeah, yeah,
purposelypixel.com.
yeah. Yep.
He and I went, I don't know, man. We were in Twitter DMs for an hour because I am not experiencing this. Have you been experiencing the
No,
unlock bug? Okay.
no.
So
So both right and left thumb work perfectly fine. There is a slight, you put your finger, you feel like that first and the second, and it relocks, but it's
mhm.
consistent for me. I haven't had it where I'm basically like, oh my god,
Well,
fumbling.
but where
Yeah.
if you scan one thumb
Hmm.
and you don't scan the other, so I mean, sorry, if you register one thumb and you don't register the other, you can unlock the phone with your unregistered thumb.
So
That's
yeah.
that's what we were describing to the Google team. They were definitely like, yeah, we are absolutely looking into this. We take security very seriously. Titan chip and optical scanners and biometrics, blah blah blah. And so one of the things that they pointed out is that again, because these are pre-release and they're not up to date on security patches, one of
Yep.
the hardest things for an optical scanner to train into some of
Hmm.
these algorithms, we don't always appreciate how similar our thumbprints might be.
Mhm.
Our thumbprints are often closer than any of our other fingerprints in terms of fooling some kind of optical scanner. So if you scan one thumb and then you go to an optical sensor and you try and open it with another, you have a higher likelihood of a false positive. It's kind of like if you face ID and then you have like a sibling, the hit rate for the sibling, you do have
high.
a statistically higher likelihood
Yeah.
that your brother or your sister can unlock your phone based on face characteristics. It's not the same security when you talk family members for things like that. On your hands, thumb to thumb, that's their initial hypothesis regarding the current inconsistent behavior of what some people are facing on the Pixel. It just means I must have better and prettier asymmetrical thumbs that I can't replicate this. I'm not some weird symmetrical thumb troglodyte like Lenny at Purposely Pixel.
You're like,
is,
and
so.
they're the same. Yeah, no.
Fusion dance.
Like I said,
when it comes to
is
biometric
software,
security,
yeah, exactly.
Yeah, but when it comes to biometric security, again, we need to have those frank conversations about what really protects consumers. Fingerprints have a failure rate that can be higher than some other methods of security, like having a strong password. That is a part of the conversation too. And then I also think we need to keep it in perspective. Like I said in my video, I am less impressed with someone who 2 weeks before the phone ships to consumers is acting like this is a widespread systemic issue with the phone when it's running out of date security patches, when that same reviewer or critiquer never had the same kind of complaint about 2 years of Samsung fingerprint sensors that were vulnerable, leaky, or
do you
easy
remember
to
the one with the
fool, or
glass
easy to
protector?
bypass.
Yeah, with certain glass protectors.
That happened for 2 years. From the Galaxy S10 all the way through the Note 20, the only thing that improved Samsung security was Qualcomm building a new ultrasonic fingerprint sensor for the S21. There's an XDA headline that's really easy for you to look up. Galaxy S21 to feature new Qualcomm fingerprint sensor, which will hopefully fix the issues of the last generation of Samsung phones. If you ever saw reviewers say, I think that's a deal breaker, I'm real concerned, maybe you shouldn't buy the Samsung, I'll eat my hat. And this is my nice TK Bay merch hat. If now
high quality
a similar
hat, guys, just to let you know,
it's a really nice ball cap, so please don't find that YouTuber. No, but seriously, find me that YouTuber. I would love to see that clip because I'd be willing to bet most of that commentary is, oh, but it's Samsung, they'll fix it and they'll put out a patch. And you're like, no, what fixed it was new hardware from Qualcomm, and all you had to do was buy a whole new, brand new phone.
Yeah.
If we're talking about consistency and reviewers who claim to be objective defenders of the average consumers, then we should have heard the exact same shock and dismay for 2 years of Samsung phones in the same way that we're just as concerned about the Pixel 6a pre-release. So we got to watch. We got to see if this spreads or if it gets better or if it gets worse. We need the data. But I'm not that concerned right now in the state that I've been using the phone. I'm feeling pretty confident this is not going to be a widespread consumer vulnerability.
Well, not only that, the statement being made about a device that is in hands of reviewers, not the general public. No person, no average user or consumer watching that video up till maybe today has had access to be able to see the phone. So this is like very much and I think a lot of people that do these the videos, the reviews, the definitive answer, on pre-release hardware, they're doing themselves either a disservice by just being disingenuous about it. Like you're not addressing the fact of what you're reviewing and what are you doing. The fact that first you're lucky enough to be part of the pre-release team to be able to talk about the conversation. I mean, in a weird way, this year when Team Pixel had a very nice experience where we had the phone a week before it was available to the public. Like we're in previous years, typically there's been that conversation. So I appreciate what Google did setting
For
the
sure.
offset a week before, allowing us to be part of the conversation, as well as the ability of basically contributing into the experience. And yeah, so what we're looking at right now is, a product that will get better. I'm almost 100% sure that it will get even better by just going to Tuesday next week with the security patch update. The moment we're just up to date to what we have on the Pixel 6 and 6 Pro. You know what I mean? That
And
alone
also
will
getting
help.
the 6 and 6 Pro to catch up on things like camouflage
Yeah,
on Magic Eraser.
on
I mean,
Magic
it's funny,
Erase.
like
Has it been working
6A
for you as
is,
good as because I've had a hard
it
time
works
getting it
well.
to. Okay,
I
okay,
mean, again, it works well for what it is. It's a
yeah, yeah,
desaturation mask or
yeah,
filter, and for that, I'm like, yeah. If see this is what drives me crazy about the way that people look at phone photos. You know, they start zooming in as soon
yeah,
as
yeah,
you show them a nice photo. It doesn't stand up to photographer scrutiny
yeah.
because it's an AI generated mask and kind of like a burn or a dodge tool if you're familiar with those. But the whole point of it is I'm trying to get you to focus on the subject of the photo and ignore something distracting in the background. And
Exactly.
I don't want to just cut it out because that would be more disruptive
Yeah, because
or more
sometimes
obviously
eraser may
manipulated.
not do the exact. Yeah, exactly. So
Again,
like I think
all of these tools
camouflage.
that we have to try and cut things out of photos, they're not always going to work. And so what camouflage does is just tries to desaturate and it tries to minimize anything that
Mhm.
might be distracting. That's not going to hold up to scrutiny. So you go zooming in on what the camouflage has desaturated or masked, and it's gonna look weird. It's gonna look unnatural.
Absolutely.
But if you're trying to save a photo, like say you got just like a great reaction from someone or a great sort of candid shot, and you just want to get rid of some weird thing that's like growing out of their face, then then camouflage does exactly what it needs to do.
I was going to say, and
So,
also a doctor basically for that thing growing out of their face. But yeah, camouflage for sure.
right?
Yeah, yeah, no,
So
yeah,
so again, it's just interesting. Like, I don't think we'd see this the same way in Apple land. Google has now built up some experience. They've refined Tensor. They've put out software to optimize it. And on their newest phone, they're launching a new feature. And then that feature is going to make it to the 6 and 6 Pro. But this cycle is this is the newest phone. We're ready to put this feature out. The feature is going to go. It's not, we're going to make you wait until the Pixel 7 comes out and then we'll introduce this new feature and you'll only have it on the Pixel 7 and it's not going to come to the Pixel 6 or 6 Pro. If you want this feature, you just have to buy a whole new phone. I'm appreciative that this feature is just when it's timely, when we know it's going to launch, it's just out there, and then other phones will have to catch up. I mean, that's kind of fascinating to see that difference in features and services and product availability.
yeah. No, and I think some of the things that we appreciate is again the learned experiences and the proven history of what we get with this type of services. It just keeps. I remember at the I/O, I was at the I/O when the first initially launched or even showed us that demonstration of what Eraser was supposed to do. It was a picture of a girl sitting behind a fence in a field, and they showed us basically that this is what it was supposed to do. Um,
So from Brian Glaze, here's my
yeah,
definitive review after
yeah.
using the phone for a maximum of a few days on pre-release software. There is no way for my opinion or perspective to be shaped or changed from this point forward.
Absolutely, because you're never going to come back later on and actually
Yeah,
change
because
that
you're
thing.
never going
You're
to
not
come
gonna,
back to
yeah.
revisit the
We're
phone.
not gonna, we're not going to get the. I know what I said about with pre-release, but this is what I really think, kind of. And
Right.
one of the things I loved about your content back at the days, Pocket Now, the after the Buzz series, because you
Those are
come
my
back and
favorites to do. I mean, we never
yeah,
got. Again, it was like the traffic on those fell off a cliff
hmm
because we would. I mean,
it's
again, the
that
obvious
window,
joke was
that moving.
obvious,
Yeah, you missed the window, and Google things like nobody cares. It's weird.
and like if it wasn't a Samsung or an Apple, then we just have comments full of, "Was there any buzz for this phone?"
Yeah, I know. They all know better. I know the comment section is always fun. It's
But man,
been
like I mean, those were the days. Like I mean, we did the Mate 9 after the buzz. We
yeah.
did what was it? The LG V20 after the buzz was one of my favorite videos to put together.
Yeah, no.
God,
But like I
so
said,
good.
that was a series that I felt like does the job, and what we're probably going to start seeing in about a week or so, we're going to start seeing, and I'm predicting this, but we're going to start seeing Z Fold 3 videos after a year because Z Fold 4 is coming out, right? SEO.
True.
It's all about the game of SEO.
Yeah.
What's going to be
From David
buzzing?
Burns.
Yeah.
I don't think it's fair you guys expect qualitative standards in reporting from people who claim to be journalists.
Yeah, you know that? Did you know that some content creators on the in the market right now, although we are all create content for YouTube or social media, some of us are categorized as media, and some of us are categorized as influencers or creators or so on.
Yeah.
Although we do the same job gets performed on both ends, but depending on how you're
I try not to
classified.
call myself I try not to call myself media or a journalist because
No, I'm a
I'm
creator. I create
way
content.
too
Yeah,
but I'm way too emotionally involved, and I've even started telling people like, I don't know, I'm a consumer advocate. I'm not a
that's a good.
reporter.
That's a good. No,
Like,
but that's a good. I feel like you fit that a
I
little bit more.
definitely have a bias and a preference in this conversation, and I am trying to advocate for certain business practices that I think would be more beneficial to consumers. I am not reporting on the
No,
news. I am definitely editorializing.
but I think that's the style that you've been at, even from the days when you were at Pocket Now. It's been This is why your deep dives makes more sense. It's because you are trying to focus on the experiences that you feel important to you if you were researching this
Well,
topic.
I mean, it's not just me. I mean, like that's why I think you and I have always gotten along. I mean, like
Yeah.
even when we've had some disagreements on like the actual nuts and bolts of how we think something should work, I know where you're coming from
Yeah. No, the
as
same.
a reviewer in how you take tech apart. It's the same reason why I get such a good vibe off of that other crew of YouTubers and streamers. Why I miss Scott Peachy. I
Yeah.
again, Scott Peachy wore his Pixel fandom on his sleeve, but I always appreciated what he was trying to accomplish in any conversation, and I know he's been going through a little rough time, like I think a number of us have been
Yeah.
over this summer, and I hope he finds his way to coming back and streaming because I loved his streams. It's why I've become such a big fan of Ike Talks Tech and Barry Johnson
Barry
and Easy
Johnson. Yep.
Computer Solutions and Kimmy and Gadget Goddess. I mean, there are so many of these people that are trying to they're trying to tell a story, and they're trying to share experiences, and they're actually living in this gear in a way that's very different from the old guard of YouTube reviewers. And I think it has so much more value
Hmm.
because it's a broader conversation.
Yeah.
Again,
No.
I mean, like what Barry brings to the table is very different than what you bring to the table or what I bring to the table. And if we all use the same phone, I think you get a much better look at like all of the pros and cons. Like
Exactly.
how these things really sort of ebb and flow, as opposed to I
Or
read
even
you off the
age.
spec
Yeah.
sheet,
Yeah.
and especially how they age. Yeah,
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
mean,
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
read you off the spec sheet, and I showed you some real pretty B-roll with shallow depth of field, which now my camera's not going to focus on this phone because I'm too close.
It's epic
But
because you said shallow depth of field. The
yeah,
camera's
I
like,
know, right?
no, we'll not
I'll show you
this.
shallow.
I
Oh,
will
we're gonna
not do
get
shallow
shallow.
bokeh, buddy. Yeah, no. It's one of
So,
those.
so
Yeah.
I had this really like just dragged out back and forth with someone who claimed to be open-minded in my YouTube comments, and I should have given up. But it was like nothing I said about the Pixel 6 Pro could have been true. Everything I said, he responded with, yeah, but some other reviewer said that it was garbage, or some other reviewer said it still had bugs. And you're like, you're not listening to any of this. You've already made up your mind about a phone you've never used, and
Yep.
your only evidence is a handful of YouTube reviewers who I would think are very suspect when it comes to reviewing less popular phones. I gotta go. Like, you're such a time suck, and you're burning so much energy with these walls of text in my YouTube comments.
It's
You're not good at this, so go use something that you think will make you happy. But like, don't sit
Yeah.
here and try and claim like, well, I'm being objective and I just want the facts, and someone else said that this was a problem. I was like, yeah, that hasn't affected me. The Pixel 6 Pro has been awesome. Yeah, but someone else said that the radio management, like, it's fine. I'm getting great 5G speeds and it maxes out my Wi-Fi 6. Yeah, but it runs real hot. And you're like, not compared to a Galaxy S22 with an 8 Gen 1. My Pixel 6 Pro is crushing Samsung at similar prices. Oh, but you have UI problems and glitches. And Samsung hasn't been putting out 3 OTAs a month for the
Well, no,
last 3 months to fix issues. Like,
absolutely.
don't sit here and pretend like this is consistent commentary. It's okay that phones have bugs and need patches
Yep.
when it's a Samsung, but you need to extend the same consistency to a Pixel. Computers need polish over time.
Yeah, no, but it is, and these are pocket computers. These are not.
Yeah,
This is
these are
not
pocket
your
supercomputers.
crazy what you can do with these. So this is the biggest thing about the 6A, and I realize we appreciate what it stands for, what it offers, but it is such a weird place to be where we are right now in a position to having to undo some of these commentaries and statements that were said. And obviously do by due diligence, by showing our work, by showing that this can and will survive and will do better, and it is, as other devices, actually better than some other devices we've seen at launch, with the amount of things that maybe do need a little bit of attention on them. As it stands right now, the Pixel 6A, with the exception of a few units, or even even with a software update, I think they're not to say an easy. I feel like they're a solid recommendation. There are some devices that I say that they're an easy recommendation because it would meet the expectations to a certain point. This will surprise you. This will perform higher
Yeah.
than what you think a mid-ranger is, and you're truly getting the best that Google has to offer as far as processing power, as well as when it
Mhm.
comes down to processing tech. The software that Google is, when you use speech to text on a phone other than a Pixel prior, and you go to a Pixel and you see how quickly it translates or transcribes, or even understands your spoken language much better than other devices that have to connect to the cloud to bring back the conversation down. And if you're on a shaky internet, you notice that the thing takes forever. Raise your hand if you were using a phone on a boat for 10 days. But anyways, you know what I mean.
On a mother flipping boat.
Yay! I'm sorry.
I'm
Every
on
week.
a boat. Okay, I'm
Oh,
sorry. It's
sorry.
still amusing that. Okay.
Uh,
Anyway,
yeah,
but
yeah. All we need is T-Pain in the
this
back.
is
That's all we need.
this is
Anybody
where
knows about that?
I'm at, and I'm going to be very anxious to see what sort of your deeper examination of the phone performance looks like.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
I am concerned.
Okay.
I'm not concerned about processing power. I
Oh
am
no.
concerned about consumers in North America who
Hmm.
don't understand how this phone is different. And I don't think they're going to get a very good education from the most viewed and the most subscribed to YouTube
Or
channels.
the first videos that come up when you search for that phone. Yeah.
And so when we look at Google's own search algorithms through YouTube, I think it's going to misrepresent. I mean, now we're so casual and we're so lazy in phone reviews, we're going to actively misrepresent what this phone is. And then someone's going to get it and you're like, wow, this phone runs warm.
Hmm.
My Pixel 4a never ran warm like this. And they're going to be unprepared for how it's different. They're going to be unprepared for the differences in battery life. They're going to be unprepared for these things.
Hmm.
And this is to me, this is a precious situation. While we still have the Pixel 5a,
Yeah.
still in stock and still sort of floating around, people can still buy it, and you can
Yeah.
get a good deal on it.
Oh, absolutely.
This to me is a very important part of the conversation that internationally, more smartphone consumers are going to grok. They're going to understand this because of those different types of phones that they get internationally. In North America and in the United States, I don't know that we have the same metaphor for
No.
a phone like this, and I think that there is potential there. I'm not saying it's immediately bad, but I'm saying there is potential there for someone to think they're going to get the phone that's right for their needs, and end up getting something that doesn't quite fit their needs because they didn't understand that difference. And that's what I feel we need to be able to communicate when we're talking to our family and friends, and when we're sharing information between other techies, is to
Hmm.
say, like, what is this phone? Is it a gaming phone, a productivity phone, a communicator? I don't think the Pixel 6a is the best communicator of the year.
Okay.
I don't. I really don't. If your needs are low level and more basic and average, I feel there are some $200 to $300 phones that will probably get you better battery life with the same proficiency in using
And
text
efficiency.
messaging and social media.
Oh, okay.
I really do feel the 6A is now flagship killer, and that is a very different conversation about performance and power management. So again, that's where I'm concerned, and why I'm going to be very interested in seeing what you have to say about the phone as you dig into it too.
Oh, absolutely, absolutely. But I do also realize that you've been playing with another phone, because I know I don't want to. I know we've been kind of covering the 6A for the first portion of the show. One of the other phones that you've been playing around with, that we've seen some content before. Obviously, the all bow to the 12S Ultra, of course. Hail 12S Ultra.
All hail 12S
12S
Ultra. But no, there are some other phones out there too. One is exhausted.
Oh, what? You got other phones? Juan, what happened? Please do tell. How has the Axon? This is the Ultra, of course, the Ultra of all the Ultra Axon babies. How has that been handled?
Axon 40 Ultra. Okay, so I love when I get to say, "Boy, howdy, did I goof?" in my
I saw the title in
assessment.
I'll be there. I saw the title on the Patreon when you submitted it. I kind of figured it out. I was like, okay.
I finally did. I got there. I'm slow, but I get there. So in my initial,
weeks, there. No.
I mean, it took some investigative digging and quite a bit of basic multiplication and algebra. When I did my initial assessment on the Axon 40 Ultra, and again, it's not really a review, it's more of a first look and introduction on the phone. In looking at the camera performance and reading through some of the more confusing language in their press kit, and then looking up these sensors online, it painted a very different picture of what this camera hardware resembled. Especially, I was fresh off of using the Vivo X80 Pro. I'm now jumping into the Xiaomi 12S Ultra. Mm-hmm. This is an ultra badged phone, so we have some expectations on what's going into this and how should it perform and what does that look like. And then you would compare some of the photo output, and the photo output on this phone is punching well above what, when you kind of crunch the math on sensor sizes, punching well above some of the 1/1.5 inch camera sensors out there, especially in terms of optical performance, depth of field. Again, this is all not complicated, but it's all like the annoying photographer math that, your eyes start to glaze over whenever I, really start nerding out on this. So it took me a while. I mean, this is probably the steepest learning curve I faced on a camera. And a good chunk of that was just really like, what am I supposed to expect from this thing? It's performing in a way that I wouldn't have expected. Okay. The numbers are telling me that the camera sensors are doing this thing, but then I compare that against like a Sony with similar camera sensors, and it's not performing like that Sony. And so a good chunk of, I put out a camera review, it's about 17 minutes long, patreon.com/somegadgetguy. And the first third of that video is really just me going like, okay, this is what I tried, that didn't work. Then I had to do this math, and that kind of explained it. And now I'm going to compare it to an Honor Magic 4 Pro. And now we can understand why we're seeing what we're seeing. And I'm really glad I took the time, because this is not my favorite camera of the year. This is not the winner. I mean, I'm very reluctant to ever pick a winner or a loser. I always try to find like, who do I think this camera is right for? Where does this fit? Based on your budget, this is a budget Ultra. It's an $800 phone, and it's called an Ultra. And I think it earns that Ultra badge, but it's the cheapest Ultra you can buy. So, short story, incredibly long. 17-minute video. It's on the Patreon. We've got photo samples, video samples, exposure analysis, depth of field comparisons, video comparisons. I got these really cute shots of a bee in 4K at 120 frames per second. Nice. It looks real good. I did a low light test shooting 4K at 120 frames per second at night. And the phone is resolving an image that blows my mind. Because if you understand nighttime photography, like
4K 120,
so you're getting a quarter the amount of light than if you were shooting 4K 30.
Absolutely.
You can stretch it, And what this phone can do from the sensor in terms of resolving an image and not destroying that image by
Yeah.
boosting the ISO too high is phenomenally impressive. It really is something interesting. There is something special here, but I guarantee you the differences in hardware are going to be the least familiar shooting experience you can have as an Android consumer. If you've ever picked up a Samsung, you kind of have a vibe on a Samsung. If you've ever picked up a Pixel, you're using the easiest point and shoot solution on the market today. If you pick up the ZTE, I'm going to say now, this is a little bit more complicated and a little bit clumsier to wrap your brain around than a Vivo X80 Pro or a Xiaomi 12S Ultra. There's a lot of the same good stuff in here, but it took me about 2 weeks to finally wrap my brain around what it was that I was seeing and get to a point where I could predict what the phone was going to do before I hit the shutter. That to me is kind of the winning thing. If you're a photographer, and I'm sure Scoop can kind of comment on this, you get to know a camera so well.
Oh my God.
You know what it's going to do before you... Yeah, exactly. You think in terms of what the camera will see. You dream in terms of what the camera will see. It took me way longer to get there on the Axon than it did on the Vivo, than it did on the Note 22. The Note 22 was immediately accessible. Like, I know what a Samsung does.
Oh yeah.
The ZTE was wholly unfamiliar. But I'm really glad I took that time because it is something different, but it's not bad different. This is something special. And there could be something really interesting in there for someone who wants kind of a crossover, almost like an Honor Magic 4 and a Sony Xperia 1 Mark IV had a baby and it cost less. And that's kind of fun. Like, there's something really interesting about that.
The new kid on the block is better, cheaper, faster, higher, faster, always.
But again, 4K 120 across all 3 sensors this is only the second phone that's ever been able to do that natively without a third party.
I see your 1 Mark IV right there, straight pulled from the equalizing all 3. And I think, so I'll say this is a trend that I want to see more of. Especially on devices that are labeled as ultras. When you start referring to yourself, because this is truly the new, the old Pro now is Ultra. It's when you start talking about the upper echelon of devices that are supposed to be the best of that company's production. You're right. It may take a little bit of a learning style. It's not the phone that you jump in there and say, "Oh, hey, say smile," next, move on. The 12S, again, you need to understand that you're dealing with a lot of natural bokeh, natural shallow depth of field, the sensor size, the performers. It's not the same. And then don't feel bad about not getting the exact same camera right out of the box by opening and snapping a picture. Hey, see, NVIDIA does its job once in a while.
It got there. Took a sec.
I gotta make this full screen because that is one sexy beast right there. Look at that.
It really is pretty. And this hardware is gorgeous. The under display camera is hilarious.
That little bit of a lip thing on the right side really accents it. And then, of course, you have the dual tone LED flash, the microphone, and then the labeling on the back.
And I always make the joke that I hate taking selfies in my reviews, but if you take selfies on this phone, you too will hate taking selfies. This camera is so practical for video calls. That's about all you're going to want to use it for.
I'd be almost tempted to say that it kind of almost gives me a little bit of a vibe of a certain phone.
A little bit.
Obviously, minus the fingerprints because that's how we do it. No, I've been rocking the Vivo X70 Pro Plus. Really, really nice. Like producing content off of it, shooting with it. Truly enjoy the benefit of having a very good. And we also got an update on it. Another look at that X80. Oh man, the X70.
I'm gonna get your reflection. Okay, now it's TK talking to TK's reflect. Oh, he's holding this phone.
Yeah, here you go. Yeah, I get to see my phone in your phone, in my phone on my screen, because that's how we do it. No. So don't get me wrong. The experience, I feel like getting into a device like this, is. Again, you don't stumble into it. Obviously, I feel like an Axon's 40 Ultra, an X70 Pro Plus, or an X80 are devices that are purposely purchased. You buy them because of what Vivo is capable of. You enjoy the science, the color science, the performance that they offer. quite a few of the clips that I used for my for the Okai scooter were shot using it. Like especially
Yep.
that last little bit of clip. I had my brother helping me out over the weekend, and I was like, "Hey, got to do a few demonstration, open, kind of slide, all that good stuff." And it was like, "Yeah, it was easy. He didn't have to think. I set up everything for him, and I handed it to him, and I said, "Look, just focus on the spot. I'm going to come here. Just don't follow me." And I would go and come back, and no, like
Just hold still
you know,
and push
but
record.
but the reason behind that is, like you said, it's an extension of you. And when you
Yeah.
know how the product is going to work in the environment that you're in, that's I think what people need to understand so they can appreciate it. This is
Yeah.
when you truly enjoy your device, because you know exactly how it's going to perform.
Well, and
That's why I'm
again,
surprised when you
I
said 4K
feel
120 in low light. I'm like, okay, hey, well, you
oh
got
man, and
magic.
it's good. I got this
Is that
great city shot of a
I
cop
would love to
car
take that
driving
to
through an intersection with its lights on,
streaking.
and it's in 4K
Oh no
120,
you don't, yeah you did videos. All right,
and
yeah,
it's
you were
not
doing a video.
streaking.
No.
It's
Well,
not
because you're
blurring,
120. Yeah, it is 120. It's the
but it's
opposite
also
effect.
this dark, crunchy night scene, and it's
Yeah.
a little grainy, but it is not ISO wrecking the scene. I do want to just answer this right here from Chris Lopez, but are the
Sure.
thermals good on the Axon? If you want to know, I did a whole roundup on all of the phones that I tested in the first half of 2022 with the 8 Gen 1,
Mhm.
and that, the Axon 40 Ultra was a part of that. And you
Yeah.
can see some of my even more extreme tests do like tens of minutes of high CPU usage, so you can see how they throttle over time. And the Axon's on the list. I'm not going to spoil it for you. I'm not going to tell you which phones did the best and which phones throttled the most. You can catch that performance chart on somegadgetguy.com.
No. No, this show is not sponsored by #SomeKindOfGuy.com, although we do feature
What
Some Gadget
kind
Guy
of?
on
I
a weekly
mean,
basis.
we,
No, you're
we
not
do.
sponsoring the show, but we feature you. So
No,
it's
that's
like,
true. That's true. That's true. I'm
yeah.
just
We didn't want to have to
brought
do
to
the
you in
sponsorship.
part through
Oh,
contributions from
shit.
somegadgetguy.com.
Yes, JC's always with us, man. That's all I could say. JC's with us, always learning learn your kit. Oh my God, Scoop, that is absolutely that is golden. You should do a shirt of that. Learn your kit, bud. Just learn your kit.
That needs
Yeah,
to be on a coffee mug like yesterday.
that needs to be exactly splattered everywhere, on merch and everything, cases even. Just imagine that you get a phone and there's a sticker on the back. Learn your kit, bro.
Learn your kit.
Learn your kit.
Bruh.
Um,
Do you even kit, bruh?
do you bokeh much? What?
And
No.
then I immediately turned to, because I just wrapped up another rewatch of Knight Rider, is Learn Your Kit. And then it's the car in the background, the Trans Am,
Oh
Night
my God,
Industries
I
2000.
miss Kit. I did try to show Omar a little bit of Knight Rider, and he's like, "Wow, that looks so old. Do cars really look like that back then?" I'm like, "Yep, we all had kits.
No.
We all. That's how
Yeah,
Knight
you
Rider.
just
Yeah,
lie. Yeah,
this
I
is how we
mean,
all
they
run.
drove themselves and they could rocket jump over things. I mean, it's...
Absolutely." And there's that display. No, because there
And
was
then
a
we had to give
mod.
up leaded gasoline, and it all went downhill.
It's when the cars took over is when everything kind of went south. Um, Now, on another light note, some of the other things, obviously, since we're talking about it, everything. Um, Speaking of Orange, speaking of things that come from Google,
Yeah.
I
Nice.
hold on, can we get a Sony?
Beautiful.
I
Love
went with these.
it.
I couldn't pass the opportunity when I saw this on, just so that I can do this kind of combination color, like the color scheme. Sorry, microphone. The
You
color scheme.
nerd. I
You
love it.
had to. Like,
You
how do
have
you
to.
not
Mandatory.
do this? Like, can we get it? Yeah, right. And of course, I can't get him to be in the same picture.
And a
So I gotta put my
wild
hand
El Jefe Reviews shows up when TK is showing off the Pixel Buds Pro.
because that's how we do it. Because that's how it is. Did someone say
So hold them
Pixel
up again.
Buds?
Hold them up again. Let's do it.
Hold
Let's
on.
do it. Let's do it.
Can we do it? Let me see. Can we get the camera? Oh wait, I'm by myself now. Hold on. Let's see here. And there you go.
Yeah, that's beautiful. I love
That
that
is,
sherbet.
dude, that color. And oddly enough, because if it's been so hot outside, this is how the sun works. Because my face turned so red in the sun, they match my face now because of the heat. Because that's how we go.
Yeah.
That's how we do it, man. We roll with the colors. My quality has been superb. Audio quality has
Nice.
been really nice. I've been really surprised. Performance is almost as comparable. I feel at the same level as my Huawei the FreeBuds 2 Pros that I've been playing with. Have been my favorite for the last
Dig it.
few weeks since before the trip and so on. So pairing easy, dual connect. Oh my God, works perfectly. I got it running on two phones at the same time, and it does the job perfectly. Whatever starts the music takes over the control, and the moment that stops, you're able to pick up notifications from two phones. It works really good.
That's cool.
And then battery life has been on point. Noise cancellation, I need to change the tips on them, and I think they'll get a little even better, but they've been doing really good. So I'm looking forward to testing them out on the trip next week, during my trip, and see how that performs on an airplane, canceling out all the other.
Wanted to buy them, and I knew, like, man, if I put money on these, they're going to sit for a while. Because I have so much stuff.
I got a few buds too, but without saying names of certain companies. But one of the things that we're going to take over got pushed till middle of August for me. So I was like, it's hard for me not to kind of say I gotta try.
Jump on it.
Yeah. I've been.
Yeah, it's going to be the better window to cover them now. I'm really looking at trying to circle back when Pixel 7 comes out.
And I think that,
obviously,
for accessories like these, like the watch and the buds, there'll be a second window. I'm pretty sure. Yeah, right. And I think there's a good chance.
I don't want to do like Pixel 7 as a package, like Pixel 7 with the watch with the buds is how I'm going to talk about it. But yeah. I knew, like, man, if I get these now, I'm really not going to be able to cover them well. And
well, you get to play with a lot of fancy stuff too. I mean, we have to admit the fact that you have the golden ears you and obviously El Jefe, our buddy. You guys get to play with some really nice, super delicious tech, like seriously. And I say delicious because, yeah, earbuds and audio can be absolutely delicious, exquisite. It's like a fine wine. It ages. It's in some experiences, microphones like we used to use the SM57s, they age super well. Their audio performance is iconic.
Well, I was lurking on Ike's stream this afternoon. Obviously the stream before we get up and running, and really, I mean, like, man, when you break it down, the sort of landscape for true wireless right now is getting a lot healthier. Mm-hmm. My concerns for true wireless are trying to catch up to the different types of drivers and multi-drivers and IEMs that we have in cabled audio and in neckbands. And it's going to be a while before we really can. Like, it's going to be a while before we can make a true wireless planar magnetic.
Yeah.
I still have the Odyssey. They haven't asked for them back. Those $1,300 IEMs, planar magnetic earbuds. No one tell Odyssey. Just keep it a secret between us. So it's going to be a while until we can get into, like, really exotic territory with a Bluetooth individual cased earbud solution. But, like, on my desk in front of me right now, the Baradynamic Freebirds were great. Yep. The One Mores were great. The One More
are great.
Evos.
Yeah.
I still haven't finished a video on these, and that will come eventually. But the Avantones, this is a little boutique-y brand. AAC, if you're on an iPhone, you don't have the same kind of AirPods connectivity, but sound quality is very interesting. I've got the Snapdragon Sound Masters in Dynamic.
Yeah, I love those
earbuds. Those I mean, even the branded earbuds, like the One Plus Pros.
Oh, the One Plus Pros are very
surprisingly good.
Punches
for
way above.
Company branded, and it punches above its price tag. For a company branded earbud, we are rich and these are premium options. These are not casual, I'll throw $30 and get some Bluetooth earbuds. I am wholly acknowledging, like, this is expensive gear for consumers just to pick up as a random accessory.
Absolutely.
But what we're getting has significantly improved over the last 2 years. Like, it's unrecognizable to where we were a little while back on good consumer I talk on the phone kinds of earbuds to things that are I'm telling you, I'm having a hard time taking the Freebird out of my ears, and the battery life is insane. Like 8 hours on a charge with ANC on. Stupid, crazy, insane.
But we need that. This is the thing. Where when you try to, or we get to the environment where a case where headphone jacks obviously are disappearing more and more. You need to have the audio solution to, again, like I said before, like when you bring in a new product service to replace another product service, you should use the basic performance of the old service as your baseline. You start there and you shoot up. True Wireless took a while for us to kind of get comparable. I'm not saying it's obviously it's able to match unlimited usage on a wired connection. Obviously, that we're not saying that. I'm saying is it needs to meet your needs. It needs to be portable. It needs to be functional. It needs to be able to for you to put your phone on the table, walk away up to 10 to 15 feet, and not lose a beat. Still have good conversation. So we're getting there, and it's exquisite to see that even the more affordable brands are getting better in that experience. But we are starting to see dual drivers. We're starting to see better ANC, like ANC, just second generation ANC. And Sony's, where I felt like Sony's used to be and they're still very good, but they used
great.
They used to occupy this one category where very few were able to touch. Now we're seeing Soundcore jumping into it. We're seeing, like you said, one more, free, earphones, a whole bunch of different. And then again, OnePlus for me has been so surprising with the pros. They have good options at the budget end, but the pros are stellar. So
yeah.
And especially with LHDC, with devices that support it, aka Xiaomi devices and OnePlus premium devices.
But then, I mean, you pick up something like the Pixel Buds, and we still get to have this wonderful conversation where the sound quality is. I have to believe, after listening to Pixel Buds A series, that the sound quality is going to be very, very good. But Google is not trying to put out a one more audiophile grade listening experience. They're trying to make a ubiquitous wearable compute platform that interacts with products and services, and probably introduces controls like bringing back swipes. That's a big deal to me.
That was a big part that we missed out on the A series, but it's also the processing and communication with the computer. The response time on a Pixel Buds Pro, when you say the command, is almost instantaneous. There isn't that. I mean, it's weird. I'm not saying we have like minutes to go, but it's faster than any of the other solutions that use vocal. Even Sony's, I feel like it's faster than how Sony performs it on their buds. And that was a surprise factor to me because it's really jumping into speed, audio recognition, dictating using services like this, using the Bluetooth connection, obviously, to be able to do dictation. For me, those are things that I appreciate having on a well-connected system. This is where, like, I feel like with the Pixel 6a, it rounds the experience because you did lose the headphone jack. Although I don't know if they're going to continue the free, because they were giving out the Pixel Buds A series with the 6A pre-order. But now maybe if you want to pick up a new pair of buds, you can go A series or you can go Pro series. And I think you still be happy. The one thing I'm missing, though, we don't have a magnet, or at least if there is a magnet, it's not strong enough at all.
Right.
Remember like how the A series was like, literally you could put it to the refrigerator and walk away? Yeah, not here.
Not so much.
No, but we do gain we gain wireless charging, which again, it's the benefit there that you get, and easy pairing and dual connectivity, which is a big plus in nowadays, especially for geeks like us carrying two phones at the same time.
And I do just want to throw this out here that Jeff was kind enough to. I mean, I figured if anyone would know, it would be Jeff.
Oh, yeah.
Oppo Enco X2 have a hybrid dynamic driver with a planar tweeter. So that is good. I want, like my Odyssey, I want like an 18 millimeter planar driver. I just want all planar if I can get it. And Aditi was saying, Juan, pair your Odyssey planars with the BTR5. I do run them with the BTR5. I have a balanced cable on them now. So actually I run them from a Theo Q3, but there is going to be
Oppo Enco X2.
Ooh.
One of my
Have you been rocking those? You been liking them?
Love them. Oh, I've had a lot of candy. Let's just say I'm not hitting at your level, my friend. Just free throws all over the place. But seriously, and I will honestly say this: I've been confusing these two for the longest time. This is the Oppo and the Huawei buds, the free buds and the X2. And I seriously been rotating between the two. Once, like, okay, hold on a second.
Well, because the other ones that I mean, we pointed out a while ago, if you're looking at something that's a bit more exotic, but you want that razor wire clarity that planars can deliver, were the Ao sounds.
That's right. That's at $35 Ao sounds. Well, no, not
Yeah, so
35,
I
but
mean,
like
they're back up, I think, to 50 if you
yeah,
shop them on like B&H or
BH.
on Amazon. But for $50, these originally retailed at 250. It's a neckband, so
Hmm.
obviously we're not talking about true wireless, but this is a dynamic driver planar hybrid, a little bit like what that Oppo is.
Hmm.
But man, if you want sharp articulation, clarity, I mean clarity for days, I really you can't find anything that beats a planar driver. I mean, they're just to me. I've become such a planar snob
Yeah.
in my audio for cans and now for earbuds. There are some really fantastic options, but this is now like you've got to kind of go out of your way to go look for something that's a bit more boutiquey.
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm
Yeah.
really glad to see Oppo playing in that space because
It, it's
this is the
surprising.
next tier. This is
Yeah.
where things get even better than our current
It's
slate of
every
multi-driver
time they go in.
earbuds.
So there is one thing I would wish on the Oppos. Oppos decided to go with the more of a click button configuration as opposed to swiping and gestures.
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah.
And I honestly say this, I appreciate the functionality of swipe to raise volume on your headbutt on your earbuds. Huawei did a very decent job. It was just an up and down on the actual microphone beam, and then of course, where with with the Pixel Buds Pro, you just swipe forward and back. That function works really good.
Hmm.
The touch response is very nice. But I think yeah, we need more solutions. But I feel like volume needs to be incorporated with more, and not everybody's tackling it.
Yeah.
We do see the ability of obviously adding it as shortcuts, but just the fact of gestures that circumvents a whole bunch of different things and makes it so that you don't have to get your phone out or open up the watch and bring down the actual music player and then hit the like trying to finagle with this. So I appreciate those features, but the Oppos sound so nice. Like they're
At
they
some
treat
point,
you.
like
Yeah.
I think what we should do is maybe work out a good time with Jeff because Jeff's schedule is packed like ours is, but we should try and work out a good time with Jeff and
Have
have a
him back
roundup.
on. Oh yeah,
Because
yeah.
what I'd like to do is let Jeff kind of just teach a master class on some of stuff because he's talking
Please.
about the Chi-Fi IEM brands have taken notice. They've been putting out a lot of new true wireless gear too. Who was it? It was the Crinicals had
Mhm.
an electrostatic driver on one of theirs. They've done hybrid planers. They've done dynamic drivers with balanced arms.
Mhm.
There are all of these different terms that those of us who are into audio technology, like I'm a fan of audio kit and I have been since my earliest recording days. There are all these words that we just take for granted. People might not understand the differences in those audio technologies and what they bring to the table. Like there are reasons why you might just want earbuds with some balanced arms, or you might want to look at the articulation of something like a planar, or we can look at electrostatics, which are really expensive, but they deliver a very different type of frequency response that colors music in a different way. And when we break all that stuff down, I mean, it can be heady stuff, but you start hearing things in your movies and in your music that you've never heard before. And thankfully, a lot of this, I mean, like, again, I'm fronting my Odyssey earbuds that cost $1,300, but below that tier, you're going to start hearing stuff that is absolutely incredible. And we're doing really well not destroying the bank to start fleshing out some of these audio capabilities. Jeff, we will be in touch. I would
Absolutely.
love to do sort of a one-off episode or show where we can just nerd out on some
Absolutely.
audio gear,
Oh man.
and especially for you sharing some of your experiences. I tell this, I phrase it this way all the time. I am a practical audio snob. I am perfectly comfortable calling myself an audiophile.
Mhm.
And it was through Jeff's videos. I stumbled onto his channel years ago, and Jeff single-handedly got me back into true wireless because I had given up
I
on
remember. I
Bluetooth
remember having
earbuds.
those conversations with you in the back. Yeah, yeah.
I was done with them. Jeff totally brought me back. It was his storytelling. It was his analysis. It was his enthusiasm for the new products that were coming out. And I would not be covering True Wireless again like I am if it hadn't been for El Jefe reviews. So, dude, seriously, offline, we'll work out a conversation tomorrow and we can chat about trying to do a stream that fits into all of our
schedule as well.
schedules, and it
Yeah,
doesn't
yeah,
it doesn't put you out. And
the
thankfully, we're
beautiful
all
thing
West
is,
Coast.
I was about to say the exact same thing. We're all the same time zone. Finally, we can make it. We don't have to, mess anything. This is time zone. It's one of our things. Seriously, it's like understanding time
Let's
zone.
put him on the spot. A DTNL. Hey, LFA reviews. When will we see some El Jefe tuned IEMs?
Ooh,
I would buy those
yeah,
IEMs.
absolutely.
So
I'm down.
let's get on that, Jeff.
I love
I mean,
this.
you've been making some
Audio
amazing
hazard.
merch.
Yeah,
I need to see some Jeff tuned IEMs.
I love it when companies like Soundcore would make special buds with his logo imprinted on the back.
Right?
I love those things. Yeah,
But
for
again, I
sure.
mean, like with like KZ and like Critical, I want to put Jeff on the spot in the chat right now. What would be your driver configuration if you were going to make a mid-price IEM or true wireless earbud?
I'd love that. Yeah.
Would it be dual, hybrid driver, dynamic balanced arm, multiple balanced arms? What? I mean, okay, you're saying no plans yet. Ooh,
Single
dynamic driver. He's
I
gonna go
like
classic, and I am here for it. I love it. I love it.
Oh my god, I love it. And of course, the DT are kicking it with us as well, hanging out. We know. Yeah, no.
DT used the exact same word that I did. Oh, he's gonna go classic. Jeff's going classic. He's like a '57 Chevy, and I love it.
Love it. No. But like I said, there are certain pieces of equipment or certain type of tech that ages very well, and there are known performers. It's like literally knowing how your sound is going to go through. And I know I keep going back to the SM57, but that's where we all started, kind of thing, with both of us kind of being on that. And it was a really good recommendation from you as well. So understanding and appreciating your audio, it's been a journey. It is a journey, and it's a continuing journey. I still prefer when I travel and when I'm doing work away, I still use my wired IEMs over USB-C with my Bolt, because that's the best audio I can get out of my PC. It gives me that clarity, and I can easily switch to my phone and not have to worry about having a headset. So to me, those are the things I appreciate. And true wireless at the $200 mark right now is very hot. It's super crazy hot with the more affordable pricing. The $100 and under market is crazy filled with a lot of options. But I'm talking about how exquisite the sound comes in at around that 200 mark, which it used to be for the most part, mostly a Sony game. And Sony still performs very well. But I feel like Soundcore, some of the other options that we have in the market. Again, I haven't had a chance to play with some of the candy ear audio experiences that you have, but from what I see with Huawei, from Oppo, from OnePlus, from Google as well, it's pleasant, and it can only go up. Let's just say that it can only go up, and I'm happy about that. My ears are happy about that. For the hours, like seriously, within the last 2 days, I got them yesterday and today. I've been on at least 7 hours worth of phone calls, and not once did I have a problem. I've been talking a lot. Good. I wasn't kidding. I was talking a lot. Like every meeting I was on the Buds Pro. Like I want to test them out. I want to make sure, and nobody can complain. So yeah, no, it's there.
It's just really exciting to see some of this stuff step up. Obviously, I had a really good relationship and partnership, sort of introducing Snapdragon Sound and working with the Qualcomm team on this.
That was a good
but
collaboration.
Seeing that first step with aptX lead into conversations about LDAC, LHDC has something really unique to offer as well. And now we're watching, premium manufacturer solutions arrive. Again, it's a consumer challenge, because now we have so many good options. Being able to tell people this is going to be a little bit different. I think this has this characteristics, and then also just features. I mean, genuinely, whether or not you like the sound quality of a One More better than a Pixel Buds, just the fact that the Pixel Buds, I think, have a better control scheme is an easy way to make a purchasing decision for someone, depending on fit and finish. So, I mean, that whole broad conversation has gotten so much more competitive. I'm still a neckband snob. I'm maybe being obnoxious and undignified.
Speaking of neckbands, you're rocking different kind of neckbands this week. But yeah, no, I'm with you on that.
We'll get to that in just a second, because that also has an acoustic consideration to it as well. But I've been obnoxious and fanboyishly undignified because FIO is going to be putting out a new Bluetooth DAC. So the
Oh,
BTR5 is the gold standard as far as I'm
yeah.
concerned for Bluetooth DACs, and they're coming out with a new, even
Q5?
higher quality Bluetooth option.
Is it Q series or?
Oh, it's a BTR. It's a
Oh, it's a
BTR
BTR.
series.
Okay, no, sorry. Yeah.
So that is already. I mean, you can already find it on AliExpress. I'm waiting until we have distribution here in the United States that I can point to directly for people to check it out. So the BTR7, keep your eyes peeled for that. You want to plug in some real nice cans, some real nice IEMs, a good pair of cabled headphones, and have one of those premium wired and wireless experiences. Our options have gotten so good. So good. So this is also going to support LDAC
Mhm.
and aptX Adaptive.
Nice.
So it's getting the newest version of aptX, and that combo is just gonna it's gonna be so beautiful. I can't wait. So that's definitely going to be on the radar too.
Jeff is ahead of us on
Yeah.
on that path.
Same. Jeff, I can't tell you. I mean, like I have a FIO PR rep that I like. I mean, like I was not dignified. I was not, like professional. I literally put in the title of like, I need this, all caps, 3 exclamation points. And it wasn't like I needed him to give me one. I need you to tell me when I can buy it. And he was like, yeah, I don't know, man. Like they're saying distribution's going to happen in a couple weeks. And like, this was a couple weeks ago. And so I've been following up. How about now? Can I buy it now? So it's been pretty brutal.
I love it.
But yeah, when we start putting all of those pieces together and what we can create, what we can listen to, my THX Onyx is here, my Q3 is here. These options, I mean, they're not cheap, but the kind of performance we're getting out of this audio gear would have blown my mind at this price, at these prices 10 years ago. Like, I would not have believed you that you could create audio signals from tiny little portable USB dongles that would rival what I used to spend a lot of money to put on a desk.
Yeah.
And that to me is kind of magical. I mean, again, if you want to treat your ears, it really isn't that expensive.
Yeah, no.
And you should.
You really should.
Yeah.
You may start off on a budget side, looking, okay, I want just like a throwaway or something easy to, if I God forbid I lose it or whatever. But I really would beg the question of do you know what you enjoy? And once you do know what you enjoy, elevate that taste. It's like I'm not going to say like a fine wine, but essentially it's like
But
when
I
you
mean,
elevate
you're
your taste
wearing
buds.
great mixing cans, and you've gotten to play with some of my favorite headphones. It is not
Absolutely.
nearly as expensive as it used to be to turn
No, and
audio into a
especially on like
hobby.
this DT770s, super affordable. You're able to pick up, and they're still around.
Yeah.
They have the new edition, but I still like the 770s, just from the way they feel. The cushioning on it actually has aged very well. We've been using it for what, almost 2 years now, and still feel
Mhm.
as good as day one. Great for audio
My
mixing, like you said.
770s are 5 years old now.
Yeah. Well, so I remember I got them way after you did, because I got.
Well, I've used 770s in recording studios. I think it was after I was either at Pocket Now or I left. No, I might have still been at Pocket Now because before I left, no, those are the HD25s. So yeah, they're probably my 770s. I think are 4 or 5 years old, but I've been using 770s for over a decade, easy.
Yeah, and I love it. I love
like they're just a staple of. Yes, LFA reviews. The DT770s is like a wood-burning stove. They literally just work.
It works.
And again, you trust what a 770 sounds like. You know where it gets kind of weird in the frequency response, and you mix around it and you understand it. It's weird. It's bizarre. But it's like I had a healthy mix of Sony MDRs, DT770s, and Sennheiser HD25s, which you should never mix on HD25s. Those are like DJ headphones. But I used to use them on recording, on location shoots all the time. Those things were tanks. I loved those HD25s.
Right. It's enjoyable. It's a piece of tech. Like music is, I don't know. I mean, I don't want to make it sound like I'm like writing an anthem for music, but seriously, music transports us, and using the right medium to allow that transportation to happen correctly is the best way to do it, and you will enjoy it more. Um, we all go through that phase where all we want is just headbangers all day long, all that good stuff. I
Yeah.
feel like my son is stuck in that a little bit in there, but I want to help
What
him
what is
elevate
what is
that
what is
pace.
Omar listening to right now? Like
Uh,
what's his
it's
jam?
like weird techno. Let's just say that weird
That's
songs,
fine.
weird techno. But the
I
only
went
song
through a
I've been
Dead Mouse
staying,
phase. I went through a
well,
Skrillex phase. You know,
I
like it's
oh
fine.
my god,
You
don't get me started
you do
with
stuff like that.
Skrillex.
It's fine.
Ever since Deadpool is
I
but no,
mean,
he's been
I'm not too
rocking.
proud to say I was bopping to bangerang. I mean,
Everybody
like
did, but come on,
you
who
do.
doesn't? The song makes you. We were watching X-Men last week, and we listened to "Stop in the Name of Love," but it was in French. So "Stop au nom de l'amour," and he's been listening and rocking that one for a week. I'm like tired of that song now because, at his age, they're all on the repetitive.
Yeah.
But he's starting to sing the actual lyrics to Elton John and Dua Lipa. I forgot the name of the song.
Oh.
Oh my god. No, I forgot how my. But the story behind that is his taste is evolving, but his basic experience right now, which I'm trying to help him understand, is not to crank the volume 100% just to enjoy the buds that he's listening to. That
Sure.
is detrimental to his
I
ears,
was in
detrimental to
Ike
the experience.
Stream and there were like a bunch of guys in Ike Stream going like, "Yeah, I just turn up my earbuds all the way." And you're like, "How do you do that?"
And you cannot, and I explained that. I told him, I said, look, Uncle Juan said, if you lose your hearing, you can't bring it back. It doesn't come back, bud. You lose it, you lose it.
Oh.
So
But I
he's
just
trying to.
physically can't understand
It's
how you're listening that
Oh, yeah.
loud.
Thank you, Michael Pepperdeck. Thank you for getting that. Yeah, it's called Cold Heart. I was like, I'm like, I keep singing the chorus, and I'm like, is it Cold Heart? They're like, yeah, no. So it's Cold Heart. So he keeps like singing the song, and we're
Like
talking.
my masters in dynamic aren't the loudest, but I don't think I can listen above half
Yeah, no,
on
you
those
don't.
Snapdragon
No,
sound buds.
you don't need to.
And
You
they're
don't need to. It's clear. It's there. It's
no,
you're
I mean
in the
like
music.
no, I agree with you. What I'm saying is I physically can't. Not that I was like, oh, I'd want to, but
No.
instead for my hearing health, I'm gonna eat my vegetables and turn the volume down. I mean, like I literally can't. My one more neckband that I still do bring out as like my sport option.
Yeah.
I mean I'm outside and when the ANC is on and I'm almost getting run over by cars that I can't hear, I can't listen to that thing above like 40%. I just don't understand how people are like, yeah, those Pixel Bud A series, they didn't get loud enough for me. Like, you turned them all the way up?
That means he's
How
had some.
did you do that?
They've had some damage where they need to keep going high. That's the thing happens is as the
You
damage happens,
acclimate and you
you
platform
acclimate and
shift.
you platform.
Yeah.
Exactly, you have to. Uh, but yeah, no. When I listen to Buds and I don't feel like I need to push. I don't need to go higher. I'm
Yeah.
enjoying it, but it also kicks in with a good level of ANC as well. We're talking about good pair to our
Oh, for
listening
sure.
that have great ANC,
Yeah.
because once you isolate the environment out of the conversation, you don't need to boost it up, right?
Completely agree.
The days of iPhone AirPods having to overcharge the sound because they're open ears, and you're trying to cancel out the rest of the environment around you while allowing to everybody listen to the music you're listening to. I think those days are gone. I think if you've ever gone to an AirPod
Yeah.
Pro or anything that is in ear, the ANC is a big factor into it. And like I said, with the Snapdragon Sound Audio, the ANC is crazy. It's amazing. And I think the pros are doing that much of a good job on as well. So they isolate the audio, they give you better sound. I feel like the bass drivers are actually very strong. You feel the bass hit. It's not a washed out, it's not just oversaturated, it's like you feel like you're sitting next to the speaker and it's just gently giving you that bass boost in there. So I enjoy that type of audio more and more, and I'm trying to get Omar to enjoy them more. I'm running him through a couple of sound cores till I get very confident that he's not losing his buds, because he's been misplacing them.
Yeah.
It's like as things, how it is. And we had our first.
And
Yeah.
offline, I mean, I'm sure you've got a few of them too, but just like as a backup pair, because you don't want them to be without something. I'm sure we could talk about some earphones and stuff like
Oh
that,
my
just to
god,
make sure he.
I have a collection extravagante. No, I'm just kidding. I have a
I know,
I
yeah,
won't run out of
but
options for sure.
but from Jeff and I really wish more people would just talk about this. I
Yeah,
think it's so important to the hearing health conversation. Jeff says, I've been purposely listening at a lower volume levels for 3 years. I've been training my ears for lower volume levels, and that's made my hearing much more sensitive. And I went through this out of college where I really started doing more work in radio stations and in voiceover recording. You're like, yeah, I've got to do something. I know I'm missing parts of my hearing from being an idiot and going to warehouse raves and standing right in front of overdriven, distortion heavy subwoofers. I've got to change this up. And I've
yeah,
actively been trying. Like, I purposely have been setting volume limits for myself that are lower and lower and lower. And like Jeff says, your hearing does kind of reacclimate to that. You don't recover the damage that you've done, but you get familiar with the feeling of a lower volume, and your hearing does kind of hone in and get more sensitive
yeah.
at those lower volumes. And for a number of people, like a DTNO was saying, like even on his Sony amp, on his Xperia, he's not really cranking it above 40%. If you ever
Mhm.
had an LG, I could never listen on a quad DAC
Or when you
at
turn,
high
yeah,
amp output above
absolutely.
like 30%. I
You could
mean, that was way too loud for
when you
most music
activate
on
it and
that.
you start getting that granular volume control on the LG, yeah, oh, that was
70
exquisite.
volume steps. Yeah.
Yeah, I know.
75.
It's like
God, I
it's
miss
like
that so
like
much.
yeah, the whole system changes. I miss those little LG tricks in there, and it's crazy. Yeah, no, I mean, don't get me wrong. LG's still in the business of things, but it's sad that we don't have them contributing
I
to the
miss them.
conversation anymore. I know, I do as well. Um, so with that kind of a little bit of kind of wrapping up certain things going on, we've had some exquisite tech coming around. Obviously, Juan
It's
Carlos
been
has
real
been
good.
dealing with a lot of cool tech. I am hoping to get my little really inquisitive fingers tomorrow or maybe the next week or so to be able to check out some of that stuff. So we'll see how that goes. We're going to be obviously, Saturday we'll have the see, I wanted him to bring this out earlier. He's just the cool guy. Yeah, it's just Juan's kind of like wanting his, yeah, this is where you should put the wig on and turn that on and let the air fly, right? Whoo.
Yeah, so we did a video on this. This was a sponsored video from the folks at Jisoo Life, and it looks like a really weird pair of headphones, but it's a wearable fan.
Yeah, yeah.
It looks a little like a chunky version of like those big speakers, the Bose wearable
Oh, yeah,
speaker
yeah,
or
yeah.
the
I've seen, yeah, no, no,
LG
absolutely, yeah.
wearable speaker, and they're silly, but internationally they're actually kind of popular in a number of other regions. And they reached out, said, "Hey, did you want to work on a video with us?" And I said, "Sure." And they are. This as a concept is kind of nice. If you've got enough of a breeze happening around you, it's not a profoundly different experience, but it's just this little ring that kind of blows air up over your cheeks and across your face, and it's a comfort when it's really hot outside. Just having air moving and occasionally like splash your face with a little water and it evaporates off, and it's really nice. And they're not that expensive. You can find them for 40 or 50 bucks.
Yeah, I saw
The
them from
folks at
Amazon, yeah.
Jisoo Life, set it all up. The video got okay traffic for one of my sponsored videos, but it's a type of wearable tech that, as climate change keeps changing our expectations of regional temperatures, that we'll probably be seeing a lot more of in the
Yeah.
future. So you can check
Well,
that out. That video went live earlier this week.
yes.
El Jefe, Juan Bagnell, neckband enthusiast.
Enthusiast. Exactly. If it's not audio, it's air, and if it's not air, it's more audio because that's how we
But
do it.
I was joking because it is like, I think at maximum fan speed, the acoustic output is somewhere around 60 dB. So
Uh,
it's noticeable. Like
yeah,
you
you can't
hear
have a
it when
conversation.
you're
You're like,
near
"Where
it.
are you? I'm in a wind tunnel." Shh.
A little
Especially
bit.
it's
And you
pointing up
can,
towards you. Yeah.
I had to leave it in the video. I did some outdoor shots just talking about it. I was walking around. It was like 96 or 97 degrees when I shot those sequences, and I shot some of them with the fans off, just
Mhm.
like, oh hey, I can move around and they don't bounce that much. But then when I turn the fans on, you can hear off the earbuds that I was using to record how they immediately went into that noise cancellation
Cancellation
mode,
mode to try to cancel out the
and
sound.
like the audio is so much duller for trying to remove the wind. So I actually think I was wearing the Bear Dynamics, the Freebird. They did a really good job of blocking air shooting directly into
At the
their
microphone. Yeah.
microphones, but you can hear how much duller the audio gets for that noise cancellation kicking on. I just thought, like, I heard it back. It's like, oh, yeah, I didn't think of that. No, what? You know, I got to leave it in the video. That's hilarious.
Well, I mean,
That's staying in.
it's real life expectations, though. If you think about it, yeah, people are going to likely be on, let's say, a call, walking around, and they get a call, and you need to stay cool a little bit because you
or,
can't.
or just for me, like, because they do put out 60 dB, and it's kind of, I mean, it's not like a high-pitched whine. It's not an uncomfortable sound, but it's such a constant noise, and I'm sensitive to that. I mean, like, I would highly recommend you got to wear some earbuds or something
So
just to kind of block the sound from the fans. But if you
yeah,
take a phone call while those fans are on, if they're not good earbuds, the people on
yeah,
the other side of the phone call are going to hear that. They're
yeah.
definitely going to hear that.
The other thing I love doing, especially with, like we go to a lot to Magic Mountain because we live so close to it. I
Yeah.
actually wear my earbuds in my ear with active noise cancellation on, like
Oh,
almost
yeah.
80% of the time,
And
dude.
not listening to anything.
Yeah, absolutely. I don't need
Yeah.
audio. I just want to cancel out the constant sound, and
Same.
then obviously the sound of roller coasters. The Superman ride, it is oh my god, it's a cool ride, but it's the loudest, especially if you're going under it at Magic Mountain. If it goes above you, you're just gonna be like, oh, yeah. I've seen people like suddenly, it's like for
Oh, yeah.
me, yeah, for environments, for concerts, or anything, not concert, but like events where there's a lot
I,
of noise, white noise.
I wore the Freebirds at an open air concert. There was that U2 cover band that played in the park.
Oh yeah, I
And
remember that. Yeah,
man, it was so much fun, and they had food trucks, and Lex loved it. But I
yeah.
had her little Puro Sound,
Mm-hmm.
those noise canceling kids ear headphones.
Yeah.
There was so much distortion coming off of those speakers, and we were about a soccer field away from the stage, about a soccer field away
Oh
from
wow.
the speakers and the subs, and the audio measurement that I
Meter.
was getting from my tick watch was 104 dB. At 104 dB, OSHA says safe exposure can only be for about 20 minutes.
And you were there
It was
for,
like a
I'm sure.
2 hour concert,
Yeah.
like they had an intermission, so our
It's
ears
like
got a
it's a
break.
cover band. Yeah, it's not a one hit cover kind of thing. Yeah.
Yeah, so I mean, like that's really what you're putting your ears through, even in something that you think is totally mundane. Like I'm sitting way far away from the stage. You don't know what 100 dB sounds like. Like
Especially
you don't
especially the
know.
frequencies that you're talking about and how clear the audio is. We're not talking just loud speakers. We're also
So
talking
I,
about,
I have the
those, yeah.
Freebird in my ears, and we had met up with we met up with a family,
Mhm.
kids that also go to Lex's school, and like I can have this conversation with this woman, and I tried at one point taking the earbud out to see if I could hear her better, and her voice disappeared. Like like if I hadn't been reading her lips, I would not have been able to decipher anything that she was saying. So I put the earbud back in my ear, and you're like, just blocking the insane amount of noise and distortion coming from that stage, I can now interact with people again.
Yeah.
Like you do not understand how valuable a good cheap pair of earplugs can be, because unless you're in a pristine acoustically treated space, if you're just at some random like county fair and they've
Mhm.
got a band playing, you actually aren't hearing the music nearly as well, because they're definitely overcranking that equipment, that PA system. They're definitely, just juicing up everything. It's all distortion, it's all noise. You're not hearing the music, and then your ears go numb
Yeah.
just so that they can prevent discomfort. I like, again, always have a pair of earbuds on you if they're
Well,
cabled, if they're IEMs,
yeah,
something.
exactly. And it fit them. I like to put them in my jeans pocket on the little
Yeah.
pocket we have on the right side. I pull them out all the way. Always. I love having them on me. And like I said, I'm enjoying transitioning from one set to another. But yeah, please take care of your ears, so that we can actually, enjoy using them longer. Because the last thing you want, we don't want to be, remember back in the day how they used to make it sound like people would hear people, they would put that little kind of like the contraption,
Yeah, that horn.
the horn into the, but it's not a standard horn. It's like a twisted horn. Like
Yeah,
it's just like, what
it's
did
trying
he
to
say?
amplify sound and funnel it
Funnel
down
it
the
into
ear
the air
canal.
because that's how we do it.
Whoa.
I walked to Fremont with Liberty. Oh my God, the Liberty
No,
Pros.
Bionic Scoop is saying because Fremont, they have a lot of open air concerts and stuff like that, and then also just
Okay.
the noise of Las Vegas.
Absolutely.
Yeah. When I'm downtown, I've got earbuds in, and I'm probably not listening to anything, just so that I can kind of back off some of the traffic noise.
I had the opportunity, and
me.
I'll say that in my lifetime, I've had the opportunities to be in a noise canceling room, like an
anechoic chamber.
Yeah.
Yeah.
While I was at Huawei a few years ago back, when we went to Huawei in their Shenzhen offices, it took me a few minutes to get used to it, to be in a zero, dead silent, no sound, like you're listening to your own heartbeat kind of a thing. But that is weird. Like they said,
there's no information on your location coming back because sound just vanishes.
Exactly. They were talking about some people were like nauseous. They're like, they don't know what to do. We're so used to like that echo, the sound generation that, yeah, man. But no, wireless solutions have been getting so much better. And again, active noise cancellation is making its presence in way more affordable buds, the sub 100, of course, and so on. So for me, if you have the opportunity, it helps to bring down the world a couple of decibels, a few decibels. It does help a little bit.
But TK, do those less expensive earbuds, do they have 120 hertz? Because if they don't have 120 hertz, then
so that would be the one thing I will say at under sub 100.
Too choppy.
I don't think you're going to have to figure out a way to get your 360 ears to drop down, because you like that 360 audio.
Yeah.
No, this is going to be 60 audio, because that's how we do it.
So we should only buy the Galaxy A53, is what you're saying.
Actually, I was going to say the AirPods Pro Max Ultra Extreme 360
with the Galaxy A53
attached to
hook them up to.
Yeah.
Okay, good.
Yeah.
Oh, Jeff, El Jefe Reviews is saying no sound, I'd have a panic attack. So I didn't get to have this experience that TK did, but my dad did a lot of work with optics and lasers, and one of the experiments he did, they built this sort of makeshift anechoic chamber, and it is one of the most disconcerting environments that you can step into, because there is no vibration. You take for granted, like, I'm talking and there's a wall over here and it's a totally flat surface.
We're so used to it.
We don't, and it comes back
profile.
and you say something and then it just vanishes, and you don't get any of that feedback from where you are in space, and it makes you dizzy because like your brain doesn't know how to position itself in space without that information. And again, it's not information we think about. It's just information that our body naturally sort of acclimatizes to. And when it's immediately gone, it's a very unsettling kind of feeling.
It's crazy that that's the type of tech. I mean, when I saw it, obviously you see all of these pointy triangle shaped stuck to the wall kind of cones, but not cones, like triangles pointing. And then you're like, what? They're like, this is specifically to break down the bounce. So there always no way for your audio to come on this and then bounce off and come to you. And the foam absorbs it. But yeah, I tried having a conversation with some of the other people because it was a group of us that were in that room. And it was, like I would talk, but I'm like, I don't sound like me. This isn't me. This is you know what I mean? And we were there for about 5 minutes, and then
with no other sound competing for your attention, suddenly the blood flow in your skull is the loudest it's ever been.
It's one of those amazing experiences to try. I would not like to stay there, but it was for sure one of those experiences I will remember.
And especially like Jeff, what I would say is, like, if you ever have the opportunity, go do it, and then let the people know, like, I'm only going to be in here for a minute, but I just want to know what that minute is like.
I needed to know exactly how it is.
I bet you Jeff would be like us, like, you're not going to enjoy it.
Like, they close the door and he'll be like, I got it. It's good. No, wait, no, really, it's good. I'm good.
Actually, I might have to say, like, hey, again, offline, I don't know if you've, Jeff, if you've read this book. I think it's called The Sound Book. It's this guy who has just written up all of these experiences going to these crazy historical places that were known for just really wild acoustic properties,
Mhm.
this underground chamber in France that creates these echoes that layer on top of each other in a way that people used to think were like evil spirits or demons. A cathedral where you could stand on opposite sides and have a conversation because of the way sound would literally like roll up and down the dome. If you've ever read that book, I wouldn't be surprised if you read that book. But if not, let me know, and I'll see if I can dig you up a copy, because I loved reading this guy's experiences. Like, yeah, I crawled through this little tiny tunnel and I ended up in this chamber, and it's like copper walls, and the ringing was crazy loud, and then it made me almost kind of hallucinate because of this. It's a fascinating write up of just like what sound can do to your brain and
Mhm.
what happens to your sort of perception when you go to different environments that are known for having these crazy acoustic properties.
Yeah. No,
But
I
on that
think those.
note, we should probably start wrapping this up.
Uh, maybe. No, I know. Yeah. So we've had a lot of good things going on this week. Hopefully, we'll have more content, more conversations coming up on the Pixel 6a. Juan dropped his video already. I'm going to have one tomorrow for you guys. I'm also going to be working on, like I said, the laptop Go 2 coming up hopefully in the near future, as well as the Pixel Buds Pro here, of course, to kind of round it up. But again, I want to have more conversations around the Pixel 6a a week, 2 weeks,
Yeah,
3 weeks after launch,
it needs
to
it
kind of
for sure.
yeah, it needs that much attention, and regardless of the algorithm, being where it is and the decisions, I want to be able to contribute to that conversation. So, was there anything else that you're dropping this week other than the laptop Go 2 tomorrow? Was it tomorrow that you're hoping for on that one? Or
No,
you
it's not going to be out. It's going to be out early next week. It's going to be an August video, and I'm really going to be highlighting back to
Oh my
school. One
God,
of the
you're
next
right.
major videos. Yeah.
Monday's August.
One of the next major videos that I'm going to be putting together, if you don't mind me just sharing my screen here real
Yeah, of course.
quick,
Oh yeah, I got it.
is I've been spending a little time. This is an Indiegogo campaign that's going to be going up very soon. The sort of the
Nice.
preview page of this is ready to go. This is the OneBot S2 electric bicycle. It
Hmm.
is flipping adorable. It's a
Wins over.
little 14-inch tire, single speed. There are no other gears. It's a single geared pedal bicycle with a 250-watt motor that can get you up to around 15 miles an hour all on its
Okay.
own,
Yeah.
and it's teeny. So it's one of these little like city commuter bikes,
Yeah.
and the handlebars can collapse down. You can kind of fold it up. Only weighs 38 pounds. So with a battery and a motor and tires and handlebars, like
And you can
it
pedal.
is not
I can see
hard.
that one on the picture on the right
Oh
side. You
yeah.
can actually pedal it like a bike, Yeah.
Oh yeah. So again, I mean, it's like you got to play with that Okai, the Neon. That scooter is just such a solid scooter.
Absolutely.
I'm hoping to have a video out on this early next week, so that we can chat a little e-bike. It's going to be on a decent Kickstarter early bird. I think it's
Oh,
going. Oh, it's right
4.99.
here, 4.99.
Yeah, I was gonna say, get the picture.
To start, and it is. It's
20%
one
off.
of the lightest and one of the smallest little city commuter bikes that you can buy.
The
So
one
I've really
S2.
been enjoying it,
Is it the
and I do
S2?
have the real pretty teal and pink. So it's very Southern California 1980s, in terms of color.
Now, be it that it's a small, and you can definitely see on the size on this. Is it something that Lex could potentially possibly ride later on? Does it get small enough for maybe
Um,
of
not
Lex's
just yet.
stature yet? Okay.
She's not quite tall enough, but if you see, it's because of the little 14-inch tires.
Hmm.
The handlebars and the seat sit way high up, so it's
Oh yeah.
almost like a step-through frame. So
Yeah.
even though I have the seat adjusted at a higher height for me, Marie has no issues. Marie's only 5'2".
Hmm.
She has no issues stepping over the frame and getting on the pedals, just like it was step side. So I think
Yeah.
this is a really good universal kind of design.
I
I don't
like it.
think Lex is going to need to grow much taller before she can hop on this bike. We'll have to
Yeah.
drop the seat, but she's going to be pretty close in maybe a year.
Yeah.
So again, they don't recommend 7 and 8 year olds get on this bike. They say like, oh, just because it's got a motor,
Well, I think
maybe
they're
don't
worried
let
about
kids on.
operating certain things, but I could definitely appreciate something like that for like the like you said, the city commuter. I took the Okai's not the Okai, the Okai Neon to the post office. I actually took like a 3.3 mile back and forth to the post office, and it was so much nicer. Like it was a little bit longer, but not that much longer. I didn't have to worry about parking. I just rolled it in. I went into the post office. I rolled in the scooter with me, got my stuff,
Yeah.
and then I remembered I didn't bring my backpack, so I had to kind of put it under my shirt and kind of hold it as. But then it was still fine. It was still perfectly fine.
Right, but you still got it.
No.
Yeah.
I was like, yeah, but yeah, I've been seeing quite a few of those bikes online.
Oh, sorry, I pulled the comment. Michael Peppertech, I've been seeing quite a few of those bikes, like those around here. Keep in mind, I live in a town of 13,500 people. They ride around town on them. I can't wait to see your coverage. I've been very impressed. Again, I'll have a proper video out. We don't have to keep running the.
No. So look forward to that. Look forward to
podcast,
some more
but
content. For me, by the time we talk again on Thursday next week, I will obviously hopefully be able to talk a little bit more on what happened in New York with the launch event, and obviously all of the things that we've seen. There's some conversations going on around the OnePlus 10T, and some things that are basically going away, but not going away, but that are not on the 10T that people like it. So we'll have to see how that thing kind of the conversation goes. I think there was a lot of conversation around it. I think everybody already saw, the pictures and so on. It's not like OnePlus is hiding it. The slider is not on the OnePlus 10T. So this is something that an iconic piece of hardware. But we'll have to see. We'll see. I want to see how it really kind of like the feel, and I'm just glad to start seeing more in-person things kind of happening. And as time goes on and moves on, and hopefully we are getting to that norm again, and that you and I and the fam can do a proper CES, post CES hangout at Vegas, a little bit kind of relaxing and having fun, and not just working. So yeah, for sure.
I'm being real persnickety about like the
absolutely,
spread of new variants and stuff.
New variants,
but
and
man, it's like I feel like we're getting so much closer to making that sort of come
absolutely.
back and be real again.
As much as I'm trying and I'm hopeful for, and I'm looking forward to them, I am very, very cautious, sanitize, face mask everywhere, travel with that. And it's weird. Like you go around the airport, you walk around, and the announcement says, you need to wear your mask while you're in an airport before, and it's like in and out. And I worry because some people are getting more comfortable, with, is this something
this is not the time to be getting more comfortable.
No,
I mean, it's like, I'm not saying we need to go back into lockdowns, but just
no.
So I'll kind of wrap this up just saying, take care of yourselves, because it's still crazy out there, and don't do dumb, unnecessary, risky things.
For the sake of yourself. Yeah.
We like your face, so we hope to see you back in the chat. And
absolutely, next week.
If you're listening to this on the audio version, that we hope you'll also come back and consume that too, without like a strange, terrible disease.
With really good cans or earbuds to enjoy the audio coming out of this podcast.
I mean,
so the audio version,
if you're not listening to this on $1,300 planar magnetic earbuds, then you're really missing out. You're not at all. Don't do that.
This show not.
I promise you, you're not.
Planar magnetics earbuds. But with that being said, be safe, stay safe. I'll see you on Saturday. Juan will see you on the SGTQ on Monday, and of course, we'll see you next week for the best of our week. Bye-bye.
Bam.